Chapter 88. Lao San yelled, "Don't talk nonsense. Anyway, you broke my thing. It's reasonable and legal to pay for it." Qin Haodong said, "I can pay for it, but how much is your thing worth? Shouldn't you find a professional to evaluate it? I can't give you 30 million just because you ask for it." The onlookers also said, "Yes, even antiques need to be identified by experts. How can you ask for 30 million? I think he is blackmailing people. How can a broken mirror be worth so much money?" Hearing the discussion around him, Lao San secretly regretted it. He was so jealous when he saw Qin Haodong take 30 million just now, so he said the number without thinking. Now it seemed that it was really too much. If his broken thing was really evaluated, it was likely that it would not be worth 30 yuan. Thinking of this, his momentum suddenly weakened and he said, "I don't have to ask for 30 million. How much do you think I can pay?" "How much? It depends on how much the loss is." Qin Haodong reached out and took the mirror from Lao San's hand. He played with it in his hand and said, "Although your mirror fell on the ground, it is intact. What do you want me to pay for it?" Lao San couldn't help but look at the mirror. He was surprised to find that the mirror, which had been flattened by Fatty Wang, was as good as before. There was no damage at all. What the hell was going on? He saw Fatty Wang flatten the mirror with his own eyes, but now nothing happened. After thinking for a moment, he thought that the young man must have used some special method to repair the mirror. But he just got the mirror. Wasn't it a little too fast? While he was guessing, Qin Haodong secretly shook his head and thought that the blackmailers were becoming more and more unprofessional. If they wanted to cheat money, they should find something like a vase. Even if they used this kind of mirror, they should first smash it and kick it a few times and then ask for money. How could such an intact mirror be suitable for blackmailers? Although Lao San couldn't figure it out, there was no turning back now. He shouted rudely, "The mirror fell on the ground. Although it looks fine, it must have internal injuries. You must pay for it." Qin Haodong laughed again. This guy was really funny. He said, "Internal injuries? Why didn't I see it vomiting blood?" Just then, two security guards of the antique street came in from outside the crowd. The big guy in the front asked, "What are you doing here?" Qin Haodong said, "Brother, I met a blackmailer here. He made a broken mirror and asked me for 30 million yuan. Do you think he's crazy?" The big security guard frowned and said to Lao San, "What's going on? Is that so?" "No, it's like this." Lao San originally wanted to quibble, but he suddenly changed his words. "I'm just a blackmailer. He just made my partner suffer losses in Fatty Wang's antique shop, so Fatty Wang asked me to blackmail him. I want to extort more money from him." As soon as he said this, the onlookers burst into laughter. They didn't expect this blackmailer to be so honest. He even told all his dirty things. Old Third shuddered and suddenly came to his senses. He did not know what had gotten into him just now, but he could not control himself and blurted out his inner thoughts. Qin Haodong also figured it out. It turned out that this guy was not trying to blackmail him, but Fatty Wang and his gang found him. The big security guard looked at Lao San as if he was looking at a monster and said, "In this case, come with us to the police station." Lao San was so scared that he shivered. People like him were most afraid of the police. He quickly said, "Please don't, brother. Please let me go this time. I was just confused for a moment. I won't dare to do it again." The big security guard turned to look at Qin Haodong and said, "It's mainly up to his opinion about this kind of thing." Lao San also understood this and said to Qin Haodong, "Little brother, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me this time. I have a 70-year-old mother and a child who is still in school." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "In fact, this matter is not unnegotiable." "That's great, little brother. I'll apologize to you here and bow to you." After that, Lao San bowed and apologized to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong had seen this kind of line on TV many times, so he was certainly not moved. He said, "It's not enough to apologize. When you asked me for 30 million just now, you scared me. You should give me some mental compensation, right?" "Compensation? Compensation?" Lao San was stunned. He was the blackmailer. Why did Qin Haodong ask for compensation? Why not? Then let's go to the police station. I believe the police can solve it. No. Willing? Willing? Lao San said repeatedly. It was better to pay some money than to go to the police station. He could earn money even if he lost it. If he went to the police station, it would be difficult for him to get out. "How much do you want?" Lao San asked. "How much do you have?" "I have 1,000 yuan. For some reason, Lao San reported his family's assets, which surprised him again. He had wanted to say 100 yuan, but why did he say 1,000 yuan instead? Qin Haodong frowned and looked a little dissatisfied, but he still said, 1,000 yuan is a little less, but that's it. When you come to me again, remember to bring more money. Lao San had a feeling of crying. He was blackmailer, not giving money. Why should he bring more? But now things had come to this, he could only take out the 1,000 yuan from his pocket and put it in Qin Haodong's hand. Then he turned around and fled. The onlookers burst into laughter when they saw the blackmailer end up in such a miserable situation. Qin Haodong put the 1,000 yuan in his pocket, held the mirror in his hand and shouted, "Hey, don't run. You haven't taken the prop yet." "No, it's yours." Lao San disappeared into the crowd after saying that. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. The weather was very hot, and the mirror could be used as a fan. He fanned himself with the mirror while continuing to walk along the antique street. An hour later he had walked through the whole street, but still did not find a suitable magic instrument. He knew that magic instruments could only be found by chance, so he could only go back like this. In the fat man's antique shop, Niuer looked at Lao San with his two small eyes wide open. "You're a blackmailer. You didn't even get a penny and you let him empty your pocket. Can you be any more shameful?" The fake old Taoist followed and said, "Lao San, it's really rare to meet a blackmailer like you. You're really a disgrace to the blackmailer circle." Lao San said with a bitter face, "I don't know what's going on. What happened today was really strange. The mirror that had been kicked flat by the boss suddenly became fine again, as if it had never been kicked. And it seemed that my brain couldn't control my mouth at that time. He asked me if I was blackmailer and I said yes directly. When he asked me how much money I had in my pocket, I told him the whole story. I didn't think that way, but I did it." The old man in the tang suit, who had been silent all the time, said, "What happened today was really strange. It was the same when we led the donkey. Our thoughts suddenly became out of control." The fake old Taoist suddenly opened his eyes wide and said, "Do you think this guy knows evil methods?" Lao San nodded repeatedly and said, "It's a little like that. Now that I think about it, it's really strange. I've been in Jianghu for so many years, and I've never encountered such a strange thing." Fatty Wong blinked his small eyes and said after a moment of contemplation, "It seems that we met a master today. This matter ends here. No one should provoke that young man in the future. We can't afford to provoke him." When Qin Haodong returned home, he casually threw the mirror in his hand on the tea table, and then walked to Qi Weiner's room. When he saw the girl, he was a little surprised. The golden piece on Qi Weiner's forehead, which was equivalent to a dime when he left in the morning, was now only the size of a peanut. This meant that the ghost fetus was swallowing faster and faster. Now it seemed that she was likely to die tonight. The deathly stillness in Qi Weiner's eyes became more and more intense. She glanced at Qin Haodong as if she was looking at a stranger. She said in a cold voice, "You're back?" "Yes." Qin Haodong nodded. "Is everything ready?" "Almost." Qin Haodong said with some confidence. "It seems that you don't have much confidence." Qi Weiner said and took out a dagger from the bedside and handed it to Qin Haodong. "What do you mean?" Qin Haodong asked. "You promised me that if you can't cure me, you must kill me. I don't want to become a monster that is neither human nor ghost." Qi Weiner's voice became more and more indifferent, as if she was talking about something that had nothing to do with her. "Don't worry, I will cure you." Although Qin Haodong said so, he still took the dagger. If this thing really went to the point of no return, he could only choose to kill Qi Weiner. After that, he returned to the living room and took out the cinnabar yellow joss paper and other things he bought and put them on the tea table, along with the small iron amulet. After everything was ready, he began to draw talismans. However, with his current cultivation level, he couldn't draw talismans that were too high. He could only draw some of the most basic soul-calming talismans and exorcism talismans. Even so, the success rate was not very high. Only 1 or 2 out of 10 talismans were successful. After drawing, Qin Haodong first put a soul-calming talisman on Qi Weiner's Naiwan Palace. With a burst of yellow light flashing, the black gas gathered between her eyebrows quickly retreated to both sides, leaving an egg-sized space. It seemed to be effective. Qin Haodong was happy and put 2 exorcism talismans on Qi Weiner's temples. This time the yellow light was stronger and the black gas was driven below the neck. After the black gas was expelled, a beautiful face was revealed, and Qi Weiner's eyes also returned to normal. "Dr. Qin, thank you." Qi Weiner threw herself into Qin Haodong's arms and cried with joy. For 10 years, she had been troubled by the ghost fetus and faced the pressure of being devoured all the time. The pain in her heart could be imagined. At the moment when she knew that she was likely to become a ghost slave, her heart was full of despair, otherwise she would not give the dagger she prepared to Qin Haodong. Now she finally saw the hope of cure. How could she not be happy? Feeling the soft pressure on his chest, Qin Haodong felt a little embarrassed. He pushed Qi Weiner away and said, "Now it's only the first step to success. To completely expel the ghost fetus from your body, I have to continue to draw more talismans." "Okay, Dr. Qin, I'll help you," Qi Weiner said, and helped Qin Haodong tidy up the yellow joss paper and grind the cinnabar. Chapter 89. Qin Haodong glanced at the phone number. It was Lin Momo. He pressed the answer button, but the voice of the little fellow came from the other side of the phone. "Papa, guess who I am?" the little fellow asked in a childish voice. Hearing his daughter's voice, Qin Haodong immediately felt much better. He said very cooperatively, "Oh, are you Snow White?" "No, I'm not Snow White," the little fellow said and giggled. "Is that a beautiful and lovely sheep?" No, I'm not a sheep," Qin Haodong said. "Then it must be our most beautiful and lovely little princess Tang Tang." "That's right, I'm Tang Tang," the little fellow said happily. "Papa, I'm out of school. Why didn't you pick me up?" Qin Haodong said, "Papa has something to do, so I didn't go. I promise I'll pick you up tomorrow, okay?" Okay. But don't forget that I'm going to the singing competition tonight. "Don't worry, Papa won't forget. Go home with Mama for dinner and Papa will pick you up later." Today was the semi-final of the singing competition, and Qin Haodong had always kept it in mind. "That's great. Bye, Papa," the little fellow said and hung up. "Dr. Qin, you're a good father," Qi Weiner said next to him. "You sound like your father is not good," Qin Haodong said and put the phone in his hand on the tea table. "My father is really not good. He has been busy as long as I can remember, and he has no time to care about me," Qi Weiner said gloomily. Qin Haodong didn't expect that it was another girl who lacked fatherly love. He secretly shook his head, but he didn't want to continue this heavy topic, so he said, "Oh, let's not talk about this now. Let's hurry up and draw the talismans and try to get rid of the ghost fetus in you as soon as possible." Then he began to draw the talismans with a brush. Gradually he got some feeling back and the success rate was getting higher and higher. Later he could draw 1 out of 3. To be safe, Qin Haodong used 70 or 80 talismans in one breath. Deep in the mountains in an ancient temple, an old Taoist with white hair and beard, who looked like an immortal, sat in front of a table and slowly tasted the tea in his cup. Beside him was a shrine, but it did not seem to be dedicated to the 3 pure ones. Instead there were 5 skulls. These 5 skulls were not some kind of handicraft but real human skulls. Moreover, there were 5 colors: gold, green, blue, red, and yellow. On one side there was the sage-like Taoist priest and on the other side there were 5 extremely strange skulls. This set of images looked extremely incongruous when put together. The old Taoist was tasting his tea when the golden skull suddenly trembled and let out a ghostly howl. The old Taoist frowned and put down the teacup in his hand. He looked back at the golden skeleton and said, "Someone dares to touch my ghost? He really doesn't want to live anymore." After that, he moved his fingers and pinched a spell. After a loud shout, a thick black gas shot towards the golden skeleton. After being covered by the black gas, the golden skeleton immediately calmed down and stopped trembling. The ghostly howls also disappeared. Qin Haodong had just finished drawing the talisman. After finishing the drawing, he heard Qi Wan let out a painful moan. The 3 talismans on her head were burning and soon turned into ashes flying everywhere. Then the black gas that had been pressed below her head came back and swallowed Qi Weiner's head at a very fast speed. Soon, there was only a golden grain of rice left on her forehead. Oh no! Although he didn't know why Qi Wan'er's ghost fetus suddenly became so powerful, Qin Haodong had no time to think about it. He grabbed the talisman in his hand. And stuck it to her quickly. He moved like lightning. In the blink of an eye, he had already drawn 76 talismans and stuck them all over Qi Weiner's body. It stuck all over Qi Wan'er's body as if she was wearing a new set of clothes. The talisman? After being stuck, a yellow light suddenly appeared and suppressed the black gas. Although the black gas had not been completely removed from her body and was still desperately resisting, it was only a matter of time before it was destroyed. Qin Haodong took a long breath. Fortunately, he had drawn so many talismans. Otherwise, it would be really difficult to suppress the ghost fetus. On the other side, the old Taoist saw the golden skeleton in front of him tremble violently again, and it was more serious than last time. There was a great tendency to break. The old Taoist was shocked. It seemed that there was also a master over there. "You think you can break my ghost-raising technique in this way? You really underestimate me. Today I will let you be the first sacrifice of the ghost fetus." After that, the old Taoist took out a talisman and threw it into the air. The talisman was thrown into the air. After rising into the air, it spontaneously burned without fire. Then it turned into a black light rushing to the golden skeleton and quickly disappeared. After the golden skeleton absorbed the black light suddenly rose and instantly turned from gold to pure black. Qin Haodong was just relieved and was going to continue to draw more talismans. But as soon as he grabbed the brush, he heard a bang. All the captives on Qi Weiner's body were burning, and they were all emitting black flames, which looked very gloomy. No more talismans? After being suppressed, the black gas suddenly rose and swallowed Qi Weiner whole. Even the last golden point between her eyebrows disappeared. "Kill me, hurry up." This was the last sentence left by Qi Weiner. I failed after all? Looking at Qi Weiner, who was swallowed by the black gas, Qin Haodong secretly sighed in his heart. He only estimated the power of the ghost fetus, but ignored the person who raised the ghost behind it. It seemed that he could only take the last way now. Thinking of this, he turned his hand and grabbed the dagger behind him. Since there was no cure, he could only kill the ghost slave in front of him. At this time, Qi Weiner howled again, which sounded like a ghost wailing and a wolf howling. Her body suddenly rose to about 2 meters, which was much taller than Qin Haodong. Her hands were not only covered with black hair, but also grew sharp claws of an inch long. Her body suddenly became bigger, and the outer clothes were torn inch by inch, flying out like black butterflies. But at this time, Qi Weiner looked ferocious and extremely ugly. Her dark body was like a stone. Although she was naked, she did not have any beauty of a woman. From this moment on, she was no longer Qi Weiner, but a ghost slave. Qin Haodong did not care much anymore. The cultivation of the ghost slave might be a little low when it was first formed. If he could not kill it now, there would be no chance in the future. He roared, waved the dagger in his hand, and stabbed it fiercely to the back of the ghost slave's heart. This knife was fast and fierce. Before the ghost slave reacted, it had been stabbed in the back of the heart. But after the knife stabbed down, there was no feeling of penetrating the flesh. On the contrary, there was a tinkling sound just like stabbing the steel. The ghost slave felt the attack behind it, suddenly turned around and grabbed the dagger in Qin Haodong's hand. The dagger, which was originally made of refined steel, was as soft as noodles under the ghost slave's sharp claws. It was torn into a pile of pieces in 2 or 3 times. What the hell, this guy is too fierce. Qin Haodong had also met with the people of the ghost sect, but at that time his cultivation had reached the tribulation period. He could kill hundreds of ghost slaves at the initial level by blowing his breath. But it was different at this time. He did not even have the cultivation of the Zhuji realm. Once the ghost slave was formed, it had the cultivation of the Zhuji realm, so it was suppressed from the level. After the ghost slave destroyed the dagger, it roared again and suddenly punched Qin Haodong's chest. The huge fist was not much different from the size of a volleyball. With the sharp claws, it was terrible. In a hurry, Qin Haodong also punched. One big fist and one small fist collided with each other, making a muffled bang. His whole body was slapped out like a volleyball. Qin Haodong felt the heat in his chest, and he was almost beaten to spit blood. There was an essential difference between the Zhuji realm and the Lianqi realm. The cultivation gap between him and the ghost slave was too big. Now he could only rely on the exquisite moves and fast body movements of his previous life. After being beaten back by one move, Qin Haodong displayed the unique skill of his previous life, dragon steps. His feet stepped in the air for a few times, and then he steadily landed on the ground. But the ghost slave did not give him a chance to breathe. It rushed to him again, and the sharp claws directly grabbed his head. If his head was grabbed this time, it would definitely become a rotten watermelon. Qin Haodong hurriedly displayed dragon steps again, and his body turned into a shadow and rushed to the back of the ghost slave. The ghost slave directly grabbed the wall behind him with one claw, and a huge hole was dug out with a bang. Qin Haodong took advantage of this opportunity to hit the back of the ghost slave's head with 2 palms. But the body of the ghost slave was as hard as steel. This palm did not cause any harm but stimulated its fierceness. It turned back and clawed at Qin Haodong again. Qin Haodong was completely dumbfounded. Even though he was agile and his moves were ingenious, the cultivation of the ghost slave was much higher than his. Besides, the ghost slave's body was invulnerable. He had no way to break through this kind of superhuman defense. If he was in other places, he could escape immediately, and the ghost slave could do nothing to him. But now he could not, because Lin Momo and the little fellow were next door. The ghost slave was extremely ferocious when it was just formed. If it rushed out at this time, no one in the entire community could survive, not to mention the Lin's villa, which was close at hand. His cultivation at the 9th level of Qi refining stage could not do anything to the ghost slave, not to mention the divine mercenaries which only had the cultivation of level 8. If he fought with the ghost slave, he would only be sending himself to death. For the two most important women in his life, Qin Haodong swore not to retreat. He tried his best to fight with the ghost slave. After fighting for dozens of moves, all kinds of furniture in the house had been torn into pieces by the ghost slave, and even the walls had been dug out with dozens of holes of different sizes. But after fighting for a long time, it could not catch Qin Haodong. The ghost slave seemed to lose interest and turned around to rush out of the window. Qin Haodong was shocked. If the ghost slave rushed out of the villa, he would have no way to deal with it. The Lin's villa next to him would definitely be destroyed. He jumped up in the air and kicked the back of the ghost slave's head. Feeling the attack from behind, the ugly corner of the ghost slave's mouth slightly tilted up, as if it was sneering. It suddenly turned around and punched Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong missed his kick, and he hurriedly punched the ghost slave's big fist with his fists. However, his two fists could not compare with the one of the ghost slave. He was hit and flew out directly. The tea table in the living room was directly smashed into two pieces, and the cinnabar yellow joss paper on it was scattered on the ground. He felt a violent chi and blood rolling in his chest. The blood that had been suppressed for a long time could not be controlled any longer, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. After the mouthful of blood came out, it just sprayed on the mirror that slid to the side. A strange scene appeared. The blood fell on the mirror and was instantly absorbed, leaving no trace. Chapter 90. Qin Haodong didn't notice the change of the mirror. He was trying his best to find the black iron amulet. Finding it was equal to having one more life. Otherwise he might be killed by the ghost slave. After punching Qin Haodong, the ghost slave didn't go out through the window. Instead it turned back. Its huge body was as fast as lightning, and it clawed at Qin Haodong's back. Feeling the crisis behind him, Qin Haodong quickly turned over. The ghost slave's claw missed its target and directly scratched a big hole in the solid wood floor under its body. But it didn't stop at all. Its other claw clawed at Qin Haodong's chest like lightning. Qin Haodong turned over again and escaped the fatal blow again. But his body had hit the wall next to him. It was impossible for him to escape. It was over. Qin Haodong sighed. At this time he had no ability to resist. Not only did he fail to cure Qi Wan-er, but he also harmed Lin Momo and the little fellow. It was too late for regrets. If he had known this, he would have taken Qi Wan-er to the deep forest for treatment instead of bringing her home. At this time he heard the ghost slave scream in his ear. Qin Haodong turned his head and saw the ghost slave's sharp claw actually scratching the mirror on the ground. The mirror had changed a lot. One side was black and the other side was red. And the ghost slave just grabbed the black side. At this time the mirror looked like a high-powered exhaust hood. The black gas on the ghost slave was crazily sucked in. The black gas was the power source of the ghost slave. After being sucked out, it was extremely painful. After a crazy roar, it quickly pulled back its sharp claw. Even so, the color of the arm looked much lighter than other parts. It could be seen that it had suffered a heavy loss. Qin Haodong opened his eyes wide. This mirror was taken back by him. At that time he didn't feel the existence of any spiritual chi. But now the spiritual chi was soaring. Obviously, it was a super powerful celestial device, even reaching the level of a divine weapon. Although he was confused, he didn't have time to study it too much. Compared with that, saving his life was the first priority. He quickly grabbed the mirror in his hand. The ghost slave was obviously afraid of this mirror. It stepped back a few steps and didn't attack again. Qin Haodong took the mirror in his hand and immediately confirmed his guess. A divine weapon. This was definitely a divine artifact. When he was in the cultivation world, he didn't even have a divine artifact. He didn't expect that after reincarnation he would actually obtain a great divine artifact that he yearned for even in his dreams. He examined it carefully again. Apart from being twice the size of the mirror, there were 3 more ancient words on the handle. Yin-yang mirror. With 500 years of experience in the cultivation world, he immediately understood what was going on. This artifact must have been sealed by a special method, so he could not feel the existence of spiritual energy. Just now he had spat a mouthful of blood on the mirror, and by a freak combination of factors, the seal on the mirror was unlocked, allowing the yin-yang mirror to see the light of day again. Fate was really playing tricks on people. He had wandered around the antique street, looking for a magic instrument everywhere, but he couldn't find it. Unexpectedly, someone took the initiative to give him a magic instrument. With the yin-yang mirror in his hand, Qin Haodong was greatly refreshed. A small ghost slave was not worth mentioning in front of a magic instrument. The reason why the ghost slave could escape just now was that the yin-yang mirror reacted spontaneously. If someone controlled it, it was just a matter of minutes to destroy it. Although he hadn't controlled a magic instrument in the cultivation world, he had used a fairy weapon. He knew that there were no more than 3 ways to control it. One was to make the magic instrument recognize its owner, the other was to use incantations, and the other was to inject genuine qi. Now it was impossible for it to recognize its owner. There was no time. His cultivation was too low to use incantations. It seemed that he could only have a try with genuine qi. Thinking of this, he injected the green with genuine qi in his body into the yin-yang mirror along the handle. After being injected with genuine qi, the mirror surface of the yin-yang mirror instantly became flexible. He took the yin side of the yin-yang mirror. Although the color was still dark and there was no change, it gave people a feeling of bottomless. The ghost slave instinctively felt a kind of fear. It turned its head and was about to run away. Qin Haodong turned the mirror over and shone it with the yin side. After being shown by the yin-yang mirror, the body of the ghost slave immediately became stiff and had no ability to resist. The black qi on its body turned into rolling smoke and was sucked into the yin-yang mirror. In just a few seconds, the yin-yang mirror sucked all the black qi on the ghost slave. The originally tall and ugly ghost slave began to shrink slowly and turned into the appearance of Qi Waner. Then it fell to the ground with a plop. At the same time, in the ancient temple, the golden skull on the shrine suddenly broke. The old Taoist spat out a mouthful of blood. Obviously he was seriously injured. He took out a small white jade bottle from his arms, poured out a black elixir and swallowed it. Then he looked better. "Who is it? You dare to break the Taoist's magic. I will never forgive you." In the villa, the crisis was resolved. Qin Haodong put away the yin-yang mirror. It was a good artifact, but it consumed a lot of true qi. Just using it for a while had consumed about half of his true qi. And he could feel that because his cultivation was too low, he could only use a very small part of the function of the yin-yang mirror, maybe even less than 1%. He looked at Qi Waner. Her clothes had been completely broken when she was just turned into a ghost slave. At this time, her perfect body without any flaws was exposed to the air without any cover. Because of the fierce fight just now, the living room was completely turned into a garbage dump. Qin Haodong carried Qi Waner to his room, put her on the bed and covered her with a sheet. Qi Waner's eyes were closed tightly. She had fallen into a deep coma. Her face was as pale as paper without any blood. It seemed that turning into a ghost slave consumed a lot of her energy. Qin Haodong reached out his hand on her wrist and began to feel the pulse. Then he frowned immediately. Although Qi Waner was still alive, her yang qi was very weak. It seemed that she had been swallowed by the ghost fetus. If it went on like this, she would definitely die. If he wanted to save her, he had to inject a lot of yang qi. But where could he find yang qi? Suddenly he thought of the yin-yang mirror in his hand. Now the yin mirror of the yin-yang mirror could absorb yin qi and ghost qi. He didn't know whether the yang mirror could replenish yang qi for people. Thinking of this, he tore off the sheet on Qi Waner's body. Then he took out the yin-yang mirror again. He injected green with genuine qi and shone the red yang mirror on the bed. A golden light suddenly shot out from the yin-yang mirror, covering Qi Waner's body completely. A large amount of yang qi instantly filled the empty body. Sure enough, it worked. Although the yin-yang mirror only shone for a second, Qi Waner's snow-white skin on the bed had become ruddy. Qin Haodong's body shook slightly. This time, using the yang mirror consumed more energy than the last time. The genuine qi in his body had been completely consumed. He thought of it and put the yin-yang mirror into the storage ring. Then he sat down on the chair next to him and took the time to restore the consumed genuine qi. Qi Waner slowly regained consciousness. Thinking of her past, she suddenly sat up on the bed. Had she become a ghost slave? Then a cold breeze blew over him. Lowering his head, he saw a flawless body that was as white as jade. What happened? Is this me? Qi Waner was very surprised. Over the years, her body was as dark as ink. She never thought that it would be so white. She reached out and stroked the smooth skin. 2 lines of tears flowed from her eyes. It's me. It's really me. How did I suddenly become like this? Could it be that Dr. Qin cured me? Yes, where is Dr. Qin? She quickly looked around and saw Qin Haodong sitting on the chair at the head of the bed. Seeing Qin Haodong, Qi Waner instantly came to her senses and let out a shrill scream. She quickly grabbed the bed sheet and covered her body. Qin Haodong was practicing with his eyes closed. After hearing the scream, he immediately opened his eyes. How are you? Are you okay? No, I'm fine. Qi Waner's cheeks were crimson. After removing the ghost fetus, she had become a normal girl. That's good. Qin Haodong also felt that Qi Wan-er had completely returned to normal at this time. Dr. Qin, did you save me? Qi Wan-er asked. Yes. Qin Haodong nodded. From today on, you are a normal person. The ghost fetus has been removed from your body. Great, I'm finally normal. I'm finally like an ordinary person. Hearing the news, Qi Wan-er burst into tears. She had been troubled by the ghost fetus all these years and suffered too much pain and grievances. After crying for a while, she slowly calmed down and suddenly thought of a problem. Dr. Qin, where are my clothes? She was very confused. Why did she have no clothes just now? Was it the need for treatment? Or was there any other special reason? Qin Haodong saw her mind and could not help but smile bitterly. She had just become a ghost slave. No man would have any idea. He said, in fact, you have just become a ghost slave and the clothes on your body were torn at that time. What? I've become a ghost slave? Then what's going on now? Qi Wan-er asked in surprise. It's a long story. You're not destined to die. I saved you again. Qin Haodong said, let me feel your pulse again. It's the first time I've seen you like this. I don't know how you've recovered. After that, he stood up from the chair but felt weak. He swayed a few times and barely stood firm. Dr. Qin, are you okay? Qi Wan-er asked with concern. At this time, she understood that Qin Haodong must have paid a lot. No wonder he didn't even cover her with a sheet just now. She really had no strength to stand up. I'm fine. I'm just a little exhausted. Qin Haodong came to the bed with the help of the wall and began to feel Qi Wan-er's pulse. Good, very good. Qin Haodong took back his right hand and said, you got a blessing in disguise this time. You didn't become a ghost slave, but you have the ability of a ghost slave. What do you mean? Qi Wan-er asked in surprise. Punch the wall and you will understand. Although she didn't understand what Qin Haodong meant, Qi Wan-er still punched the wall gently as he said. She didn't use too much strength this time, but with a bang the gravel flew everywhere, and the hard cement wall was punched out a big hole. Qi Wan-er looked at her unscathed fist and the big hole on the wall. She asked in surprise, What the hell is going on? Qin Haodong said, after you became a ghost slave, the ghost qi on your body was cleared by me, but the ability was left for you. You not only have the cultivation of a master of internal strength, but also will improve much faster than ordinary people in the future. It won't take long for you to reach the realm of supreme power. That is to say, I'm a master now. Absolutely a master, much better than me, Qin Haodong said. Great, that's great. Dr. Qin, Brother Qin, thank you. You are my great benefactor. Chapter 91. Qi Weiner was so excited that she forgot that Qin Haodong was very weak at this time. He needed to hold the wall when he walked. How could he stand her hug like this? Sure enough, Qin Haodong, who had exhausted his jinqi, was thrown to the ground directly. Qi Weiner, who had no mental preparation, fell on Qin Haodong's body. Under the action of inertia, her body slid forward a little, and the two plump breasts just pressed heavily on his face. Are you okay? Qi Weiner realized that Qin Haodong had been injured. She quickly climbed down from him and bent down to help him up. Qin Haodong was originally just exhausted, but he suddenly felt dizzy after being tossed around by Qi Weiner. It was not his fault. Any healthy man would also feel dizzy when facing the unobstructed scenery in front of him. I'm fine now, but if you don't get up, something will really happen. Qin Haodong looked at the two tempting depth charges in front of him and said weakly. Qi Weiner realized that something was wrong and quickly stood up. But this time another scenery was revealed, which made Qin Haodong's nostrils hot and he almost spit blood. Fortunately, at this time, Qi Weiner had once again pulled the sheet on the bed and wrapped her body in it. Seeing the beautiful scenery disappear, Qin Haodong held the wall and slowly climbed up from the ground. Qi Weiner blushed and said, Brother Qin, I'm sorry. I was too excited just now. Are you okay? Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, I'm fine. I'll be fine after a rest. Qi Weiner looked at the big hole in the wall and said apologetically, Brother Qin, I'm really sorry. You see, I've broken your room. That's broken? Qin Haodong said and turned to go out. Come out with me and have a look. Qi Weiner didn't know what Qin Haodong meant, but she followed him out of the room and came to the living room on the third floor. Seeing everything in front of her, she was completely dumbfounded. The original good villa had become a broken wall at this time, as if it had suffered a catastrophe. Qin Haodong said, compared with this, the small hole in the wall is nothing. Did I do all this? Qi Weiner couldn't believe her eyes. Looking at the tragic scene and the bloodstains on the ground, she finally understood why Qin Haodong was so weak. It's you and it's not you. It's all caused by the ghost slave. Qin Haodong took 2 steps forward and bent down to pick up a piece of black iron from the ground. It seemed that he must carry this thing with him in the future. If he had it just now, he wouldn't have been so badly injured. However, everything had its cause and effect. If he had not been injured and vomited blood, he would not have been able to unlock the seal on the mirror of Yin Yang, let alone kill the ghost slave who had reached the level of covert power. Let's go downstairs and talk. This place is too messy. We'll have to find someone to clean it up tomorrow. Qin Haodong said as he slowly walked downstairs. Qi Wan-er quickly stepped forward and held his arm. Feeling the amazing elasticity on his arm and thinking of the beautiful scenery he had just seen, Qin Haodong couldn't help but feel a fire in his heart and quickly moved his attention away. He said, "When you were telling your fortune, didn't the old Taoist say that you had a golden fate?" "Yes, how do you know?" Qi Wan-er asked. "I just saw it. When I fought with the ghost slave, its body was as hard as iron, and it had exerted the metal property to the fullest. So I speculated that you must have a golden fate and a yin property, so you were chosen by the old Taoist as the recipient of the ghost fetus." Qi Wan-er said bitterly, "This old Taoist is so hateful. If I meet him again, I will twist his head off and kick it like a ball." From the ghost slave, I can see that the old Taoist cultivation is absolutely not low. With your current cultivation, you'd better stay away from him as far as possible. Speaking of this, Qin Haodong's expression became serious, and I guess that the old Taoist used the 5 elements ghost refining technique. You are just the metal of the 5 ghosts and so on. There are 4 ghost slaves, namely wood, water, earth and fire. What there are? Qi Wan-er opened her mouth in surprise. Qin Haodong said, "I guess it should be so, but it is absolutely not easy to gather the other 4 ghost slaves. The recipient of the ghost fetus must be a virgin, a yin property, and meet the 4 properties of wood, water, earth and fire. This condition is too harsh, so it is difficult to achieve." While talking, they came downstairs. Qin Haodong went to the cloakroom and took out a set of his t-shirt and big shorts, and threw them to Qi Wan-er. "I don't have women's clothes here. You can make do with them first." Qi Wan-er took the clothes into the room, changed the bed sheet on her body and put on the t-shirt and big shorts. This kind of loose dress showed a different kind of charm. Especially when thinking that it was all empty inside, Qin Haodong's heart was hot again. He said, "Well? You call Director Shi and ask him to take you back." "Go back? Why should I go back?" Qi Wan-er asked. Qin Haodong looked surprised. "You have fully recovered now, why do you still stay here?" Qi Wan-er said, "I am already your woman. Naturally, I have to stay here with you." "Hey, don't be like this." Qin Haodong said quickly, "I just treated you and did nothing else. You can't blackmail me, can you?" Although this woman was really beautiful and hot, he couldn't say that she was his woman after a few glances. "Look at you. Am I so terrible? Am I not good enough for you?" Qi Wan-er stared at Qin Haodong and said, "You saved my life, so I am yours from now on. I will do whatever you want me to do." "That's it." Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief. Qi Wan-er had superhuman hacking skills and was a warrior at the level of covert power. He really needed such a talent around him. "Well, I just started a security company. If you want, you can stay and help me." Qi Wan-er said, "No problem. I am yours from now on." Well, Qin Haodong's words could arouse infinite imagination. Qin Haodong said, "You take a rest first. I need to restore my cultivation as soon as possible. I will take my daughter to participate in the singing competition later." After that, he sat cross-legged on the ground and began to repair his injuries and restore his exhausted genuine qi. After more than a day, Qi Wan-er knew everything about Qin Haodong, so she didn't ask any more questions. She took her mobile phone and went to the next room. She dialed a series of numbers. After the phone was connected, she said excitedly, "Mom, this is Wan-er. I'm all cured." "Really? Wan-er, are you really cured?" A middle-aged woman's excited voice came from the other side of the phone. It was Qi Wan-er's mother, Shi Zhishuan. "Yes, Mom. I am completely cured. I won't do it again." Shi Zhishuan cried excitedly on the other side of the phone. "Your uncle said that he found a magic doctor for you and asked me not to bother you these days. I didn't have much hope. I didn't expect that he really cured you." Her daughter's strange illness had been like a heavy stone pressing on her heart these years. Now she was cured, which was great news for her. Shi Kuai didn't want his sister to worry, so he only told her that Qi Wan-er had found a magic doctor to cure her. He didn't tell her about the ghost fetus. After being happy, Shi Zhishuan said again, I will go with your father tomorrow to thank the great magic doctor. Mom, don't come. Chi Wan said, Mom, not only don't come but also keep the news secret for me. Don't let Dad know that I am cured. You little girl, what are you going to do? Your father has been worried about your illness these years. Now you are cured. Why don't you let him be happy? Chi Wan smiled and said, Mom, you know my father's temper. If he knows that he will take me back as soon as he is cured, I want to play outside for a few days. Sure, Jishuan thought about it. Her daughter had been suffering from a strange illness these years. She had been hiding at home and never went out. She was really depressed. It was not a bad thing to play outside for a few days. She said, Well, but you can't play for too long. Come back when it's almost time. You must protect yourself outside. When you come back, we will thank the magic doctor. After all, he cured the eldest princess of the Qi family. As a mother, I have to thank him in person. Thank you, Mom. You have to tell my uncle not to let him leak it to my father. Chi Wan hung up the phone happily after saying that. Qin Haodong practiced for about an hour and was awakened by a phone ringing. He opened his eyes. Although his cultivation had not recovered to the peak state, at least he could move freely. He took out the phone and found it was the little fellow. Papa, when will you take me? The game is about to start. The little fellow said eagerly. Wait, Papa will be there soon. Qin Haodong hung up the phone and got up to change a suit of clothes. Brother Qin, I will go with you. Chi Wan took his arm and said. Well, I will find you a suit of clothes. Qin Haodong came to the Lin's villa with Chi Wan. The little fellow saw him and immediately rushed over, but she did not see Lin Momo. Papa, Mom went to work again. She can't watch me go to the game. The little fellow said with her mouth pursed. Obviously, she was not satisfied with Lin Momo's departure. Mom is busy with work. You can go with Papa. Qin Haodong kissed the little fellow's cheek and said, And there is an aunt to accompany you. The little fellow was just busy complaining to Qin Haodong and noticed Chi Wan next to him. Auntie, you are so beautiful. The little fellow said happily, Auntie, are you going with me to the game? Of course I will go with you. Chi Wan was completely fascinated by the cute appearance of the little fellow and liked her very much. Qin Haodong found a suit of Lin Momo's clothes for Chi Wan. They were about the same size, so it was just right for her. After getting ready, Qin Haodong drove the little fellow and Chi Wan to the Jiangnan Art Museum. In the Jiangnan Art Museum, Wang Hongbing and his family were standing in front of the door, followed by 7 or 8 bodyguards. Wang Hongbing and Ma Hong both wore a pair of big sunglasses, which were big enough to cover half of their faces. They wore sunglasses at night not to look cool, but because their panda eyes, which had been beaten by Qin Haodong yesterday, had not faded. It was too shameful to be seen. Wang Guan asked, Papa, why don't we go in? Chapter 92. Ma Hong pushed the sunglasses on the bridge of her nose and whispered, Honey, that gigolo boy is very powerful. Can we beat him? Don't worry. No matter how powerful a person is, he can't be that powerful. The bodyguards I hired this time are not the good-looking but useless ones. They are all elites of Daddy's security company. One of them is an 8th grade bodyguard, and 6 of them are 7th grade bodyguards. They will beat the shit out of that guy. It turned out that after the last time Wang Hongbing swore to take revenge. He directly fired all the previous bodyguards and hired 7 bodyguards from Daddy's security company with a lot of money. The leader was Zhang Tiniu, an 8th grade bodyguard. Wang Hongbing continued to say excitedly, I've seen the abilities of these people. That's real kung fu, not just for show. As long as that gigolo comes, I promise I'll beat him until he kneels and calls me daddy. While he was talking, Wang Guan pointed to the front and shouted, Papa, look. They are coming. Wang Hongbing looked forward and saw Qin Haodong coming with Tang Tang in his arms, followed by a beautiful woman. He waved his hand to the bodyguards behind him and shouted, Get ready. Beat him hard when I ask you to. If anything happens, it's on me. Qin Haodong walked to the door and saw Wang Hongbing standing in front of the door. He asked with a smile, Boss Wang, you are so early. Why are you wearing sunglasses at night? Are your eyes sick? You're sick. Your whole family is sick. Wang Hongbing shouted angrily, Boy, I'll give you another chance. Kneel down and apologize to me and then leave with your daughter. You're not allowed to participate in the competition. What if I don't agree? Qin Haodong laughed. If you don't agree, I will beat you until you agree. Wang Hongbing pointed to the bodyguards behind him and said, See? They are bodyguards from Daddy's security company. Your poor kung fu is no match for them. The little fellow shouted, Brag, brag. My papa is the best. Chi Wan said, Brother Qin, do you want me to help you teach this guy a lesson? Qin Haodong said, there's no need. He's just a shrimp. He can't make any waves at all. Seeing that Qin Haodong didn't take him seriously, Wang Hongbing was furious. He waved to the bodyguards behind him and said, beat him hard. Beat him until his mother can't recognize him. According to his plan, as long as he gave the order, Zhang Tiniu and the others would definitely beat Qin Haodong up. However, after shouting for a long time, the bodyguards behind him did not move at all, as if they had heard nothing. He shouted angrily, what's wrong with you? Are you King deaf? Didn't you hear what I said? This time Zhang Tiniu moved. He strode to Qin Haodong and bowed deeply. Boss, do you want us to teach this guy a lesson? It turned out that they had already recognized the boss, but Qin Haodong had stopped them with his eyes. What, boss? Wang Hongbing was stunned at first and then he shouted, Zhang Tiniu, are you crazy? Don't call him boss. I'm your boss. Qin Haodong also felt funny. It turned out that Wang Hongbing dared to come to him because he was a bodyguard of his daddy's security company. He waved his hand to Zhang Tiniu and said with a smile, forget it. After all, he is a client of our company. It's not good for you to beat him. After that, he handed the little fellow to Qi Wan beside him and stepped in front of Wang Hongbing. He raised his hand and took off the glasses on his face. Then he waved his right fist and added more weight to the two panda eyes that had become a little faint. Wang Hongbing screamed after being beaten. Then he came to his senses and roared angrily at Zhang Tiniu and the others, I paid you to be my bodyguards, but you just watched me being beaten. What the F***ck is this daddy security company? Is this how they train bodyguards? Wait for me to complain about you. Zhang Tiniu said, it's no use complaining. The first rule of our daddy security company has clearly written that everything is centered on the boss and we must obey the boss's orders. You asked us to beat the boss, which has already violated our agreement. If there is a breach of contract, it should be you. What? You said he's your boss? Wang Hongbing was confused. It took him a long time to realize that the boss Zhang Tiniu had just mentioned was completely different from the boss he knew. He didn't expect that the young man in front of him was the boss behind the famous daddy security company. Qin Haodong smiled at him and said, thank you for taking care of our company's business. Then he said to Zhang Tiniu and the others, Boss Wang is a client of our company. We must protect him well. We can't let the client be wronged. After that, he took the little fellow from Qi Wan and smiled at Wang Hongbing again. Then he strode into the gate of the art gallery. Wang Hongbing felt so aggrieved that he wanted to die. His chest felt like it was about to explode. Protect me? You were the one who hit me just now, okay? Seeing Qin Haodong leave, he turned back and shouted at Zhang Tiniu and the others, get out of here, all of you. You're fired. Zhang Tiniu said calmly, Boss Wang, you can fire us, but you have to think about it. Now you're the one who broke the contract. If you fire us, the liquidated damages will not be refunded. When Wang Hongbing hired the bodyguards, he signed the employment agreement strictly according to the company's procedures. The first article of the agreement stated that the employer could not ask the company's staff to disrespect the boss. At that time, he never dreamed that Qin Haodong was the boss of Daddy Security Company, so he signed the agreement without thinking and paid a large sum of liquidated damages. He didn't expect that it was him who broke the contract. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't want the money. Wang Hongbing finally drove Zhang Tiniu and the others away. Although he lost a lot of money, it was better than looking at these people angry. He hired these bodyguards to deal with Qin Haodong. But just now, as long as Qin Haodong said a word, these people would beat him. In contrast, it was better to fire them. Goodbye, Mr. Wang. I hope you can take care of our company's business in the future. Zhang Tiniu didn't care about this kind of thing at all. Now Daddy Security Company was very famous and there were many employers waiting in line. He didn't care about losing one, not to mention making a lot of money. He waved to Wang Hongbing politely and then went back to the security company with his bodyguards. Looking at Zhang Tiniu and the others leaving, Wang Hongbing felt very aggrieved, but there was nothing he could do. After all, he had hired Zhang Tiniu's staff. Seeing that the competition was about to start, he could only go in with Wang Guan. After Qin Haodong entered the venue, he saw Wang Jiani waiting there. Compared to yesterday, her face was full of joy today, and she looked especially cheerful. Hello, Ms. Wang. The little fellow took the initiative to greet Wang Jiani. Ms. Wang, is there any good news? Qin Haodong also said with a smile. Of course there is. Wang Jiani said and took out a small book from her bag. There were 3 big words on it, divorce certificate. She said excitedly, I'm divorced. I finally got rid of the devil Dong Chao. Oh, that's really good, Qin Haodong said. Thank you, Dr. Qin. Without your help, I don't know what would happen to me now. Wang Jiani said gratefully. It's nothing. Dong Chao has been arrested. You can live a peaceful life in Jiangnan City. You can come to me if you have any difficulties. After Qin Haodong said that, Wang Jiani's face became gloomy. She was not as excited as before. She said, Dr. Qin, Dong Chao has been released. His family is very powerful in Shanghai. You should be careful. Maybe this bastard will come to you for revenge. Qin Haodong didn't care about Dong Chao at all, but he still asked in surprise, didn't that bastard gather people to take drugs? How could he let him go? Wang Jiani said, I'm the only one who knew that Dong Chao gathered people to take drugs. But it's not enough for me to report it. So Officer Nayland could only fine him for taking drugs. It's not a crime. Qin Haodong nodded. He had no choice. After all, the police needed evidence to solve a case. He said, let him go. It's nothing. After all, this is Jiangnan City. If he comes to trouble you, you can call me immediately. Wang Jiani said, I don't mind. It's my own business. I'm afraid that I'll bring unnecessary trouble to Dr. Qin. Qin Haodong smiled carelessly, don't worry. He's not qualified to come to trouble me. While they were talking, the competition officially began. The song that the little fellow sang today was the children's song Good Father. Her sweet voice and excellent performance won the applause of the audience immediately. Qin Haodong was deeply moved when he saw his daughter's performance on the stage. He could feel the little fellow's love for him. The blood connection between father and daughter was something that nothing could stop. Because it was the semi-final, the strength of the young contestants was much higher than that of the preliminaries. But the little fellow still won the first place with her excellent performance. To Qin Haodong's surprise, Wang Hongbing, who sang like a pig to be slaughtered, also made it to the finals by some unknown means. But it had nothing to do with him. As long as it didn't affect the little fellow, he didn't care about anything else. The semi-final was over. Finally, 10 young contestants were selected to participate in the final tomorrow night. To everyone's surprise, the organizer announced a new rule. In the final, each young contestant could invite a guest singer. Finally, the judges would evaluate the joint performance of the contestants and the guest singer and judge the final result of the competition. Papa, I won the first place again. At the end of the competition, the little fellow threw herself into Qin Haodong's arms like a happy bird. Tang, you sang so well. You can win the first place in the final. Qi Weiner said sincerely. Although they hadn't known each other for a long time, she had completely fallen in love with this lovely little elf. Wang Jiani also said, Tang, you will definitely become a big star in the future. The little fellow shouted happily, Great. When I become a big star, I'll take Papa to sing everywhere. Qin Haodong smiled and said, Tang, what song are you going to sing tomorrow? Can you tell Papa? The little fellow said, Tomorrow is the final. I want to sing the song of the big star Ouyang Shanshan. Is that okay? Of course. As long as you like it, you can sing whatever you want. In Qin Haodong's mind, the most important thing was the happiness of the little fellow. The competition could only be ranked second. Wang Jiani said, Dr. Qin, the guest singer tomorrow is very important. You must find a way to help the little fellow find a strong guest singer, or it will affect her performance. If you don't have a suitable candidate, I have a few friends who are engaged in art and literature. They are good and have a little fame in Jiangnan City. You can ask them to help. Are there any capable guest actors? Qin Haodong smiled and said, Thank you. I don't need to bother you. I have a suitable candidate. Seeing that Qin Haodong had an arrangement, Wang Jiani didn't ask any more questions. They left the venue while talking and laughing. Soon after they went out, a black car suddenly sped up and stopped in front of them with a harsh braking sound. The door opened and Dong Chao came out. At the same time, 2 middle-aged men with gloomy expressions got off. After seeing Dong Chao, Wang Jiani, who was very happy before, showed a frightened look. Her body trembled slightly. She was really afraid of this villain. Qin Haodong comforted her. I'm here. Don't be afraid. At this time, Dong Chao came over and shouted arrogantly, Toy boy, I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon. Chapter 93. Bad guy, don't bully Miss Wang or Papa will kick you like a ball. Tang shouted angrily. Your father? Your father is nothing. Dong Chao laughed arrogantly and said, I'm here to get even with your father today. See, he is a martial arts master I brought from Shanghai. Do you know what a martial arts master is? Ordinary people can't compare with him. Dong Chao pointed at the middle-aged man on the left and said, "This is Master Zhang of Iron Palm. He has reached the 5th level of overt power, and his unique skill of Iron Palm can cut gold and stones. If he wants, he can smash your father's head into a rotten watermelon with one slap." Then he looked at Qin Haodong provocatively and pointed at the middle-aged man on the right and said, "Master Li is even more powerful. He has reached the 6th level of overt power and is best at Foshan Shadowless Kick. Have you heard of Foshan Shadowless Kick? What you see on TV is fake, but what Master Li is doing is real. He can definitely kick you like a ball. The 5th level of overt power. The 6th level of overt power. He is indeed a master." Qin Haodong smiled disdainfully. He could easily find someone from the security company to kill him, not to mention him. Are you scared? He is a master invited by our Dong family. Dong Chao did not hear the sarcasm in Qin Haodong's words. He continued to say arrogantly, "If you want me to let you go, I can let you go. First, make that bitch register with me again. She can only be my toy for the rest of her life. Second, you kneel down and apologize to me. I'll let you go when I vent my anger." Speaking of this, he glanced at Qi Wan who was standing next to him. "Also, your little girl is not bad. Let her sleep with me for a few nights. If she makes me happy, I'll let it go." Wang Jiani was really scared. She was not a warrior, so she didn't know what level Qin Haodong had reached. Dong Chao's bragging made her think he was not as good as the two people in front of her. She said, "I can promise you anything you want, but you must let go of my two friends." Dong Chao became more complacent and shouted, "Bitch, who do you think you are? How dare you bargain with me? I've already stated my conditions. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and do as I say and this matter will be over. If you wait for the two masters to take action, the consequences will be dire." Wang Jiani was about to say something, but Qin Haodong pulled her back. He said to Dong Chao, "You're right. There's no room for bargaining. Kneel down and apologize. Promise that you won't harass Ms. Wang in the south of the Yangtze River in the future, and I'll let it go. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe." Dong Chao was stunned. He had thought that Qin Haodong would kneel down and surrender. He didn't expect Qin Haodong to be so tough. "Kid, you're courting death." He turned around and said to the two middle-aged men behind him, "Masters, this kid won't shed a tear until he sees the coffin. I'll have to trouble you to teach him a lesson." "Let me do it," the warrior surnamed Zhang said and stepped forward. This guy's palms were black and big. It seemed that he had some attainments in the Iron Palm. He cupped his hands towards Qin Haodong and said, "Iron Palm Zhang Haitao, please advise me." Before Qin Haodong could say anything, Qi Wan said, "Let me do it." She knew that Qin Haodong had just been injured and didn't know how much he had recovered, so she took the initiative to stand up. "Well, be careful when you do it. Don't make it too bloody." Of course, Qin Haodong didn't worry about Qi Wan. With her cultivation as a warrior of covert power, dealing with these two lousy guys was like bullying a child. What he worried about was that Qi Wan would beat them too hard and make it too bloody, which would be bad for the little fellow. Seeing Qin Haodong hiding behind Qi Wan, Dong Chao yelled, "Toy boy, how could you let a woman do it for you? Shame on you." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "It's a skill to have a woman do it for me. You can find one if you're capable." "Humph, I'll deal with you later." Dong Chao said to Zhang Haitao, "Master Zhang, be careful not to hurt this woman. We'll take her back to warm our bed later." Zhang Haitao grinned and said, "Don't worry, young master. I have tender feelings for the fairer sex. Such a beautiful girl, I won't hurt her." Seeing these two guys dared to take advantage of her, Qi Wan's face darkened and she reached out to grab Zhang Haitao. Zhang Haitao didn't care about her white and tender little hand at all. He reached out his big hand to grab her. In his opinion, Qi Wan was no match for his iron palm and she would definitely fall into his arms. Unexpectedly, when the two hands touched each other, a sharp pain came. His iron sand palm, which he had practiced for more than 10 years, was scratched by Qi Wan and had 5 bloody holes on it. "I've told you not to make it too bloody." Qin Haodong had no choice but to cover the little fellow's eyes. "Papa, I'm not afraid." The little fellow pulled Qin Haodong's hand down and shouted to Qi Wan, "Come on, auntie. Beat the big bad guy hard." After being injured, Zhang Haitao didn't dare to be careless anymore. His other palm hit Qi Wan's temple hard. Qi Weiner raised her hand to grab his wrist and twisted it gently. With a crack, Zhang Haitao's wrist bone was directly broken. Zhang Haitao had practiced the iron palm for more than 10 years, but in a blink of an eye, both of his hands were broken and he immediately lost the ability to fight. Foshan Shadowless Kick. Seeing that his comrade was injured, Li Fei, who was watching the battle from the side, immediately leaped into the air. Both of his legs turned into a sky full of leg shadows as he kicked at Qi Wan-er. Qi Wan-er lifted her leg and kicked Zhang Haitao away. Then she kicked Li Fei. Seeing that Qi Wan-er dared to kick back at him, Li Fei sneered. He had trained his legs for 20 years and could easily break a wooden stake as thick as the mouth of a bowl. In comparison, Qi Wan-er's slender long legs were vulnerable. In the blink of an eye, the two legs collided with each other. Then there was a crack and Li Fei screamed. His right leg, which was powerful enough to break a wooden stake, had become V-shaped. He didn't know that Qi Wan-er was not only a master of covert power, but also had a rare physique of gold property. Although she looked weak, her body was as tough as thwart kung fu like golden bell shield and iron shirt. How could he, a warrior at the 6th level of overt power, compare with her? Dong Chao, who was complacent, was completely dumbfounded. He didn't expect that the two masters he had spent a lot of effort to poach from his family would be beaten by a woman with only 2 moves, and their kung fu was completely destroyed. Even if Qin Haodong didn't punish him, he wouldn't be able to explain it to his family. But he didn't care so much. Seeing that things were going bad, he immediately got into the black car next to him and closed the door, ready to escape. But Qi Wan-er, who had been provoked by him for a long time, would never let him go. She came to the door of the car in 2 steps, reached out her hands and pulled the door down. Then she grabbed his collar and dragged him out of the car. Wang Jiani was stunned. She couldn't believe that Qi Wan-er, who was more petite and cute than her, had such a powerful fighting ability. She could even break the iron sheet of the car. She really couldn't figure out who was with Qin Haodong. Qi Wan-er lifted Dong Chao like a chicken, walked to Qin Haodong and threw him hard on the ground. It was a heavy fall. Dong Chao snorted and almost threw up his dinner. Brother Qin, how should we deal with this bastard? Should we break his limbs? Qi Wan-er looked at Dong Chao angrily, holding a grudge against him for flirting with her. Dong Chao trembled with fear and hurriedly begged, "No, please don't. Brother Qin, I know I'm wrong. Please forgive me this time. I won't do it again." Qin Haodong handed the little fellow to Wang Jiani, and then squatted down in front of Dong Chao. He patted Dong Chao's cheek and said, "Everyone makes mistakes. You're a good comrade if you can correct your mistakes." Dong Chao was overjoyed, thinking that Qin Haodong was going to let him go. He hurriedly said, Yes, I'll definitely repent in the future." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "It's good to repent. But you have to pay the price for your mistakes. If an apology is enough, why do we need the police?" Dong Chao realized that the young man in front of him was not so easy to fool. He asked in horror, "Then what do you want? You scared Ms. Wang just now. You have to pay the price." Qin Haodong said, "I asked you for 1 million yuan last time. You still have money to hire bodyguards. I'll take 2 million yuan this time. What do you think?" As he said that, he glanced at Dong Chao's limbs, which meant that he would break them immediately if Dong Chao didn't agree. "No, of course I don't. I'll pay for it." Dong Chao was scared. He hurriedly took out his phone and transferred the money to Wang Jiani's account. "You're quite a tactful person. You've made me feel embarrassed to deal a heavy blow." Qin Haodong smilingly patted Dong Chao's shoulder and said, "But people like you don't have a good memory. If I don't make you suffer, you'll definitely come to me again. I'll leave this as a souvenir for you." Then he grabbed Dong Chao's head and twisted it slightly. With a crack, Dong Chao's neck was twisted 45 degrees to one side. What did you do to me?" Dong Chao cried in horror. "Don't worry. Your neck is not broken and it won't affect your health at all." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "I just watched The Legend of Deification a few days ago and thought Shen Gongbao's style was very cool. So I made a new one for you according to his style. Keep it like this from now on. It'll be a souvenir for you in case you forget it again in a few days. Listen to me. Be a good man and maybe you can change it back one day. Don't think about going to other hospitals for treatment. It's useless. People will say that your neck is congenital." Dong Chao's expression changed greatly. How could he go out and cheat women in the future with a crooked neck? Besides, it would be shameful if he went back to the circle in Shanghai. "Little brother Qin, please let me go. Give me my neck back. I'm willing to pay another 2 million yuan, or even 4 million yuan." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Some things can't be solved with money. Don't think you can solve everything with money. You should have been prepared to bear the consequences when you came to me." I'm sorry. Please let me go." Seeing that Dong Chao would not stop, Qin Haodong's face darkened and he said, "I'll count to 3. If you don't leave by then, I don't mind twisting your head completely to the back and giving you a new style." 3. Dong Chao immediately got up from the ground and turned around to run after counting. After seeing Qin Haodong's means, he didn't think it was a joke. Chapter 94. The big bad guy ran away. The big bad guy ran away. The little fellow shouted happily, and then she said to Chi Wan, "Beautiful aunt, you are so awesome. Can you teach me?" "Baby, you'd better learn from your dad. You can't learn my kung fu." Chi Wan-er's cultivation and physique were left by the ghost fetus. Ordinary people really couldn't learn it. "Okay." The little fellow pouted and looked a little disappointed. "Tang Tang, you should practice the smart method Dad taught you, and you will be better than me in the future." The Xiantian Emperor's Heart Sutra that Qin Haodong taught the little fellow was the supreme cultivation method in the cultivation world, much higher than Chi Wan-er's. The little fellow didn't see anything when she just started cultivating, but she would make great progress in a few days, which was not comparable to ordinary cultivation methods. "Really, I will practice hard." The little fellow was happy again. At this time, Wang Jiani came over and said, "Dr. Qin, thank you for helping me again." Qin Haodong said, "It's nothing. Don't worry about it." Wang Jiani said again, "Dr. Qin, you asked for the 2 million yuan. It's not appropriate for me to keep it. I'd better give it back to you." "I don't need it. That bastard owes you. It's appropriate for you to keep it. Then I'll treat you and Sister Wan-er to dinner." Wang Jiani really didn't know how to express her gratitude. This time, Qin Haodong didn't refuse and said, "Sure, let's go for a big meal and celebrate the little fellow's first place." Okay, let's go for a big meal. I'm going to have a big meal." The little fellow clapped her hands happily. The four found a Western restaurant and had a big meal. Then Qin Haodong sent Wang Jiani home, and they also returned to the Lin's villa. Because it was too late, Qi Wan-er went directly back to the number 6 villa, and Qin Haodong took the little fellow to Lin Momo's home. When they entered the door, Lin Momo was already back. The little fellow said with some hidden bitterness, "Mom, I won the first place again today. Unfortunately, you didn't see it." Lin Momo hugged the little fellow and kissed her, saying apologetically, "I'm sorry, Tang Tang. Mom does have something to do today, but I'll definitely cheer for you in the finals tomorrow night." The little fellow immediately widened her eyes and said happily, "Mama, you must keep your word." Of course, she still hoped that her parents would accompany her to the competition. "Yes. Of course, I will keep my word," Lin Momo said affirmatively. "Let's make a pinky promise." The little fellow stretched out her white and tender little finger and hooked it with Lin Momo's. Lin Momo put her on the ground and said, "Go and play with Grandpa." Seeing the little fellow running to Lin Ziyuan, Qin Haodong said, "Why are you still at work tonight? What are you busy with?" "I got the news tonight that the Feng family shipped a batch of raw jade gemstones, so I went to have a look." Qin Haodong said, "Oh. Last time, didn't you say that the Feng's group had shipped a batch of raw jade gemstones, which affected our side?" "No." Lin Momo said with a puzzled face, "That's what I'm worried about. The Lin family has shipped 2 batches of raw jade gemstones from Myanmar, but there's no movement at all. They haven't done any publicity, and the sales there haven't improved. It's still deserted. If I were the head of the Feng's group and got so many new raw jade gemstones, I would definitely carry out publicity with great fanfare, and then use other means of promotion to pull customers back and reverse the decline. I really don't understand what they're doing." Qin Haodong thought about it and didn't understand what the Feng family wanted to do. He said, "Don't worry, I'll go to their place tomorrow and buy some of their new raw gemstones." "That's great." Lin Momo now knew Qin Haodong's ability. As long as he took action, the Feng family would not be able to make any waves. After putting the little fellow to sleep, Qin Haodong returned to his home. The 3rd floor was completely unusable, so he and Qi Wan-er lived in the room on the 2nd floor. Early the next morning, Qin Haodong called Nailin Wushuang and asked her to come to his house. First, he wanted to talk about Qi Wan-er joining the Daddy Security Company, and second, he wanted her to help find someone to repair the house. After the phone call, he went to Qi Wan-er's room. He felt that Qi Wan-er was not good at cultivating by instinct. After thinking about it, the cultivation method of the killing Rakshasa sect in the cultivation world was very suitable for the metal constitution. He directly passed this set of cultivation method to Qi Wan-er and taught her how to cultivate. As soon as Qin Haodong finished explaining, Nailin Wushuang came in. When she saw the beautiful Qi Wan, her face changed. She didn't expect that every time she came to Qin Haodong's house, there would be a beautiful woman. She asked, "Is this your client again?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Wrong. This is not a client, but a new employee of our company." Employee? What employee? Nalan Wushuang didn't understand for a while. Qi Wan came over and said with a smile, "Sister Nalan, don't you know me? I'm Wan." "What? You're Wan?" When they met that day, Qi Wan was wearing black clothes and her face was black. Now she seemed to be a different person. No wonder Nalan Wushuang didn't recognize her. Qi Wan said excitedly, "Yes, Sister Nalan. My illness was cured by Brother Qin, and now I'm a member of Daddy's security company." "Really? That's great." Seeing that Qin Haodong cured Qi Wan, Nalan Wushuang was also very happy. She said, "You let Sister Wan join our company. How about the level?" Qin Haodong thought for a while and said, "Wan'er's hacking skills are the best. She'll be a super bodyguard like me. And she's the trump card of our company. She won't take any tasks for the time being." Wow, so powerful. Nalan Wushuang didn't expect that Qin Haodong would give such a high evaluation of Qi Wan, which made her very surprised. "You'll know whether I'm powerful or not when you see it," Qin Haodong said and took Nalan Wushuang to the third floor. Seeing the terrible situation in the living room, Nalan Wushuang was shocked and asked in surprise, "What's wrong? How could it be like this?" The furniture in the living room had been broken into pieces. Even the hard walls and floors had been broken. If it was more serious, the house would be directly demolished. She really couldn't understand who could have such a great destructive power. Qi Wan said with embarrassment, "Sister Nalan, I did all this." "What? You did it? Are you kidding me?" Nalan Wushuang couldn't imagine how such a delicate and lovely Qi Wan could have such a great destructive power. "It's true. I did it." Qi Wan briefly told the story of how she became a ghost slave and how she was saved by Qin Haodong. Finally she said, "Sister Nalan, I'll pay for the damage of repairing the house." "No need. We have a decoration company under the Nalan family. I'll ask them to clean it up." Nalan Wushuang knew how strong Qi Wan was. She was simply a female Tyrannosaurus in human form. After handing Qi Wan to Nalan Wushuang, Qin Haodong drove away from home and rushed to the exhibition center. Originally he wanted to see what the Feng's group was up to. However, when he was halfway there, his phone rang. It was Nalan Wuxia. He said with a smile, "Officer, why do you call me? Are you going to invite me to dinner?" Nalan Wuxia said, "Come to the crime squad as soon as possible. I'll invite you to dinner when it's done." "Do you want me to help you interrogate again? If it's like this again, give me a police certificate tomorrow. Just let me be a police officer," Qin Haodong said. He quickly turned the steering wheel in his hand and drove in the direction of the crime squad. When he arrived at the crime squad of Jiangnan City, he saw not only Wang Jianfeng and Nalan Wuxia, but also Fang Chuanxiong, the leader of the special task force of the police department. "Brother Qin, you're here." After seeing Qin Haodong, Fang Chuanxiong immediately greeted him warmly. Qin Haodong said, "Leader Fang, what's the matter?" "Of course I wouldn't invite you if I didn't." Nalan Wuxia's relationship with Qin Haodong was more familiar, so she spoke bluntly. Fang Chuanxiong said, "Here's the thing, Brother Qin. Recently, our intelligence personnel in Burma sent information that the drug trafficking group in the Golden Triangle has sent a large number of drugs into our country through secret means." "But what means did they use? Where did these drugs go?" "At present we don't know. Just yesterday we arrested a local drug lord in Jiangnan City. This person has always been close to the Golden Triangle. He must know the secret of this drug trafficking. But after a night of surprise interrogation, we didn't get any useful information. We don't know whether this person is stubborn or he doesn't know the information, so we want to ask Brother Qin to help us confirm." Wang Jianfeng followed and said, "Here's the thing. If Dr. Qin doesn't know after asking, then it's confirmed that he doesn't know. We'll find another way." "Well, no problem. I can still do this little thing." Qin Haodong agreed very simply. It was really not difficult for him to interrogate this kind of thing. "Then I'll have to trouble Brother Qin." After Fang Chuanxiong finished speaking, he immediately took Qin Haodong to the interrogation room. After entering the door, they saw a thin man in his 40s sitting on an iron stool. The man's face was pale, his body was thin and his eyes were dull. He looked like a typical drug addict. 10 minutes later, they left the interrogation room together and sat in the conference room again. Fang Chuanxiong said with a serious look, through Brother Qin's interrogation just now, we have indeed gained a lot. First, we can be sure that the Golden Triangle did transport a large number of drugs to our country, and the location is probably in Jiangnan City. Wang Jianfeng said, "It's a pity that this person is just a drug dealer. He doesn't know much about the Golden Triangle. It would be good if he could tell us the specific location of the drug trade." Nalan Wuxia said, "This time the Golden Triangle has a large number of drugs, and the means are secret. These drug dealers will not know the exact information until the end. If we want to find these drugs, we have to rely on our later work." Qin Haodong said, "This is the police's business. If you need any help, call me." Being able to clarify this information is already of great significance to our police case. Brother Qin, thank you so much. Fang Chuanxiong sent Qin Haodong out with great gratitude. Chapter 95. When Qin Haodong arrived at the exhibition center, he found that just as Lin Momo had said, the Lin's group was crowded with buyers, while the Feng's group was deserted with only a few guests. He stepped into the Feng's group and found that there were not only fewer guests, but also fewer staff than last time. At first he thought he would be recognized by the staff here, but after walking for a long time, no one looked at him. In fact, it was not strange. When he came here last time, there were so many guests and the staff were so busy that few people noticed him at all. And when he was in the limelight later, he was surrounded by many Jade businessmen and Feng Tianda's bodyguards, so the staff could not get close to him at all. After walking around the venue, there were less than 10 guests in the whole venue. He walked through the 4 areas of A, B, C and D and found that different from last time, there was a large open space at the end of the venue, which was also full of raw jade gemstones. However, a simple isolation belt was set up, with the words, "Guest Stop" written on the side. It seemed that no one was allowed to enter. Looking at these new stones, Qin Haodong guessed that they should be the new raw jade gemstones from Myanmar that Lin Momo had mentioned, but this made him even more confused. Generally, businessmen would try their best to advertise their new goods and strive to let as many people know about them as possible. However, the Feng's group not only did not advertise, but also put the new raw jade gemstones aside, and even did not allow customers to see and buy them. What was going on? The more unreasonable something was, the more secrets it must have. Qin Haodong pretended to choose raw jade gemstones in Area D, but in fact, his attention was always fixed on the raw jade gemstones in the isolation zone. Soon he found several strange places. Maybe because of the bad business, no staff came to greet him after he came in for a long time. It seemed that they did not care about the raw jade gemstones outside. However, there were often people walking back and forth in the isolation zone, and it seemed that they were guarding the raw jade gemstones. And these people all used Burmese language, and it seemed that they were Burmese, not Jiangnan people of Wuxia. What was going on? Were these raw jade gemstones of high quality so they were guarded so carefully? But in the end, Qin Haodong found that these raw jade gemstones had almost no spiritual qi, and they were not high-quality Burmese raw jade gemstones at all. This made him feel more and more strange. Based on the relationship between the Jade House and the Feng's group, they should have sent a large number of high-quality raw jade stones to help them solve their predicament. Why did they send so many rotten stones here? No wonder the Feng's group didn't do anything after the 2 batches of raw gemstones were shipped in. It seemed that they also knew very well that if they put these inferior raw gemstones into the market, they wouldn't be able to recover the current disadvantage. On the contrary, they would make the Feng's group more passive. But since they knew that these stones were not good, why did they transport them from Myanmar to Wuxia? With these questions in mind, Qin Haodong came to a place closest to the quarantine area and observed the inferior raw jade gemstones again. Due to the strength of his primordial spirit, he could clearly sense the aura emitted by these ores. Very soon he discovered something wrong. Although these raw gemstones contained very little spiritual energy, most of them exuded the aura of nature. They were naturally formed stones. However, about 10% of the raw gemstones did not have this kind of aura. There was only one answer. These stones were artificially synthesized. What was the purpose of transporting synthetic stones to the raw gemstone exhibition? There was no doubt that there was something wrong with these stones, but he didn't know what the problem was. It seemed that if he wanted to find the answer, he had to get a stone and study it carefully. Thinking of this, Qin Haodong chose a suitable opportunity. When the other staff were not paying attention to him, he quickly walked into the quarantine area and came to the raw gemstones. "Hey, what are you doing? Who let you in? Don't you see the sign outside that says no guests enter?" At this time, a staff member in his 20s saw Qin Haodong and immediately ran over. He was very angry. The boss had made it very clear that once someone entered here, not only would they pack up and leave, but they wouldn't get a penny at the same time. Thinking of this, he suddenly pushed Qin Haodong's shoulder and shouted angrily, "Get out of here." Qin Haodong was looking for an opportunity to get close to the raw jade gemstones. He took a few steps back and suddenly fell on the pile of raw gemstones behind him. He pretended to be angry and said, "I'm here to choose raw jade gemstones. Why did you hit me?" The staff cried, "What are you choosing? Don't you see the sign outside that says no guests enter? Do you think I'm illiterate? There are obviously people over there. Why can't you let me in?" Qin Haodong said and raised his finger in another direction. The staff member was shocked. Could it be that he had been distracted for a moment and someone else had entered? He quickly looked in the direction of Qin Haodong's finger, and Qin Haodong took the opportunity to put a strange stone under his body into the storage ring. After seeing that Qin Haodong was talking about those patrolling Burmese people, the staff member was relieved and said, "Get out of here. They are our people, not guests." "Fine. Haven't you heard that the customer is the king? I can buy raw jade gemstones anywhere with money. It's your Feng's group that will lose." Qin Haodong stood up from the ground and left angrily. "What's going on?" One of the leaders walked over. The staff member quickly said with a smile, "Nothing. This guy can't read. I've already asked him to get out." The steward looked at Qin Haodong, who was empty-handed, and did not suspect anything. He turned back and said, "Keep your eyes open. If you let anyone in again, you'll get out of here." Yes, I'll pay attention to it in the future." The staff member hurriedly agreed. The steward snorted and turned away. Back in the car, Qin Haodong thought of something and a stone the size of a volleyball appeared in his hand. He held the stone and looked at it but did not find anything wrong with it. But one thing was certain. This stone was definitely synthetic, but the technology was very advanced. Ordinary people could not see it at all. If he had not felt the breath of nature, he would not have found it. The cost of making such a realistic fake stone must be very high. He did not think that someone would be so bored to make a fake stone for fun. But what was the problem? Since he could not see it from the outside, he would dig deeper. He stretched out 2 fingers and pinched a bulge of the stone. He felt it and felt that this synthetic stone was not as hard as natural ones, and the fault lines were completely different from natural ones. What was the problem? While thinking, Qin Haodong gently twisted his fingers and pinched the small piece of gravel he had just pinched into powder. He raised his hand and looked at his fingers. The powder was white. Suddenly he had an idea. Last time, the drug dealer had chemically fused drugs in the suitcase. Just now, Nalan Wuxia had said that a large number of drugs had entered Jiangnan City, but she did not know where they were hidden. Combining these 2 points and the fake stone in his hand, the answer was almost obvious. It was very likely that the strange stone in his hand was made of white powder. Thinking of this, he was excited. Thinking of this, he was so excited that he drove straight to the Jiangnan crime squad. At the same time, he called Nalan Wuxia. "Officer, are you still in the crime squad?" "No, I brought people out to investigate the case." "What's the matter?" Nalan Wuxia asked. "Come back quickly. I have something good for you." "Something for me?" Nalan Wuxia was slightly stunned and asked, "What is it?" "I'll give you a big precious egg," Qin Haodong said and laughed. For Nalan Wuxia, who was eager to solve the case, this strange stone was definitely a big precious egg. Nalan Wuxia said, "I'm busy. Don't joke. If we don't find out where these drugs go as soon as possible, once they flow into the market, it will be troublesome. It will bring great harm to our country." "I'm not joking with you. This thing is very important to you. Come back quickly. I'll be at the crime squad soon." Qin Haodong hung up the phone directly. He believed that Nalan Wuxia would come back. Sure enough, as soon as he parked the car at the crime squad, Nalan Wuxia rushed back in a police car. After she got out of the car, she said to Qin Haodong with dissatisfaction, "Why did you ask me to come back? Did I have an accident when I flirted with girls again?" "What are you talking about? I'm an honest man." "How dare you say you're an honest man? Tell me, when did you have an accident without a woman by your side?" Qin Haodong thought for a moment and realized that it was true. He said with a little embarrassment, "Well, I'm too handsome. I can't help it." "All right, cut the crap. Why did you ask me to come back?" "I told you that I have something good for you," Qin Haodong said as he took the stone out of the car and gave it to Nalan Wuxia. "You asked me to come back in a hurry, so you gave me a stone. Are you sure you're not playing April Fool with me?" Nalan Wuxia thought that Qin Haodong was playing with her. She really wanted to throw the stone at Qin Haodong's head. Qin Haodong said, "I'm not joking. I'm telling you this is a precious egg." Nalan Wuxia saw that he was serious. She took the stone and carefully fiddled with it in her hand, but she found nothing different. "What precious egg? It's just a stone." Nalan Wuxia said discontentedly, "I don't have time to joke with you. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving." Qin Haodong said, "The thing you're looking for is in this stone. Where are you going?" "What do you mean?" Nalan Wuxia was extremely smart. In addition, she had personally experienced the case of the suitcase drug trafficking last time. She thought for a moment and her expression changed greatly. She cried, "You mean there are drugs in this stone?" Qin Haodong said, "I guess so. Hurry up and find someone to test it. You'll know the results soon." "I'll do it now." Nalan Wuxia rushed into the crime squad with the stone in her arms and sent it to the laboratory of the technical department. The test of this kind of drug was very simple. A few minutes later, she ran out again with the stone in her arms. She cried excitedly, "Tell me, where did this thing come from? You haven't told me the result yet." Compared with Nalan Wuxia, he was much calmer. "I just tested it. This stone contains a large amount of high concentration of heroin. That is to say, your guess is right. There is a large amount of drugs in the stone." Seeing that his guess was confirmed, Qin Haodong secretly admired that these drug dealers were really cunning. They even came up with such a tricky way to transport drugs. If Lin Momo hadn't noticed the abnormality of Lin's group, if she hadn't met him, if she hadn't happened to get the storage ring, she really wouldn't have found it. However, the net of heaven has a long arm. Under a strange combination of factors, these people finally fell into his hands. Chapter 96. The Raw Gemstone Exhibition of the Feng's Group. Qin Haodong didn't hide anything. He briefly told her how he found the stones. He only hid the storage ring and said that he stole the stones when the guards were not paying attention. Nalan Wuxia naturally wouldn't doubt it. She said, "Come on, let's go there now. Don't let them notice anything wrong and move the stones." Then she hurried to Qin Haodong's car. Qin Haodong opened the door and sat in the car. But he still said, "Just the two of us. Isn't that too little? Let's detain the goods first. I'll call Captain Wang right away," Nalan Wuxia said. She motioned Qin Haodong to drive quickly. Then she took out her mobile phone and called Wang Jianfeng. Such a big case needed the support of the armed police. She was only the deputy captain of the crime squad. She didn't have the power in this aspect. She could only report as soon as possible. As for Fang Chuanxiong, the leader of the special task force, it should be Wang Jianfeng who reported to him. Wang Jianfeng was immediately nervous when he heard that important clues of drugs had been found. He first mobilized a large number of armed police to the exhibition center and reported to Fang Chuanxiong. In the exhibition hall, Feng Tianda and a bearded young man were inspecting the raw gemstones in the isolation area. The bearded man was called Meng Tai. He was Meng Gang's younger brother. He was also the right-hand man of Zhou Tianhu, the leader of the Jade Gang. He came to Jiangnan this time and was fully responsible for all the affairs of the Jade House. Different from his rough appearance, Meng Tai's inspection was very detailed. After a careful round, he called the supervisor over. He asked, "Is there anything unusual today?" "No, everything is normal." The supervisor answered respectfully. Even the boss Feng Tianda was very respectful to this bearded man from Burma. He naturally had to treat him with care. "Has anyone else come in?" Meng Tai asked again. The supervisor hesitated and said, "A young man came just now." She thought it was just a pile of rotten stones. Even if someone came in and took a look, nothing would be missing. There was no need to hide. Meng Tai's face darkened. He cried, "What? Didn't I tell you that no one could come in?" "Don't be angry. It's like this." The supervisor quickly explained, "That young man is illiterate and didn't understand the warning sign at the door. That's why he barged in, but we chased him out as soon as he came in. It took less than a minute." Meng Tai's expression softened a little. He asked again, "What kind of person came in?" The supervisor said, "It's a young man in his 20s. He looks fair and tender like a pretty boy." "Gigolo?" Feng Tianda didn't speak at first, but after hearing the supervisor's words he thought of something and asked, "Tell me again, what does the man look like?" "About 1.8 meters tall, pretty handsome, about 20 years old." The supervisor suddenly pointed in the direction of the entrance. "Boss, that's him. He's here again." Feng Tianda looked in the direction of the finger and saw Qin Haodong and Nalan Wuxia walking side by side. Thinking of his 100 million yuan of private money, Feng Tianda said with hatred, "It's him. The toy boy is here again." "Brother Feng, do you know this person?" Meng Tai asked. "His name is Qin Haodong. Your brother Meng Gang was sent to the police station because of him. It's this guy. I'm going to kill him now." Meng Tai's face suddenly changed, and his eyes were full of hatred. He heard in Burma that his brother was sent to the police station because of a young man, and it seemed that he would be sentenced to 8 or 10 years. When he heard the news, he immediately wanted to find Qin Haodong for revenge, but he was stopped by Zhou Tianhu. Zhou Tianhu told him not to act rashly for the time being, and to find Qin Haodong after the important task was completed. "Brother Meng, don't act rashly for the time being." Feng Tianda was rational. He grabbed Meng Tai and said in a low voice, "This is Wuxia. If you want to take revenge, you have to do it secretly. There are too many people here, and the woman next to him is a police officer." Meng Tai hesitated for a while and finally suppressed his hatred. After all, Zhou Tianhu had repeatedly told him that he couldn't let anything affect the task, or he would be killed. While they were talking, Qin Haodong and Nalan Wuxia had walked into the quarantine area. Feng Tianda walked up to them and he intentionally ignored Qin Haodong. He said to Nalan Wuxia, "Miss Nalan, we're not open to guests here. If you want to buy raw jade stones, please go outside." Qin Haodong didn't feel dissatisfied because of Feng Tianda's neglect. He went up and said happily, "Mr. Feng, why don't you open so many raw jade stones to guests? Wouldn't it be a waste to keep them?" Feng Tianda stared at him and said, "Qin Haodong, don't you think you're meddling too much? The stones are mine. I can sell them if I want and I won't sell them if I don't want. It has nothing to do with you. You're not welcome here. Get out of here." Qin Haodong smiled slightly. "Are you sure these stones are all yours? Don't regret it." His words meant something. Drug control was very strict in Wuxia. The amount of drugs contained in that stone was enough to kill Feng Tianda. Feng Tianda had a bad feeling when he saw Qin Haodong, but he didn't want to lose face, so he said firmly, "They're mine." "What's wrong? Are you going to take them away?" Nalan Wuxia said, "Feng Tianda, I'm not here to buy stones. I'm here to inform you that these raw jade stones have been seized." "What?" Feng Tianda and Meng Tai's faces changed at the same time. Feng Tianda said coldly, "They're just raw jade stones. Why should they be seized? Don't tell me that rocks can break the law." Nalan Wuxia said, "You just need to carry out my order. I don't need to explain to you for now." "Miss Nalan, isn't your authority a bit too much? I'm a legal businessman. You should serve me. Now you just seized my goods. You need to give me an explanation, right?" Feng Tianda really didn't take a deputy captain of the crime squad seriously. If it weren't for Nalan Wuxia's special identity, he would have kicked her out long ago. Nalan Wuxia handed a piece of A4 paper to Feng Tianda and said, "Look, this is the warrant of detention. You must execute it immediately. Now let your people leave the site, and then gather them together to wait for the interrogation of the public security organ. I'll give you an explanation when the case is clear." Qin Haodong nodded secretly. This girl looked like she was in a hurry, but she was actually quite organized. She had prepared the warrant before she came. Feng Tianda glanced at the certificate in Nalan Wuxia's hand and then said with a look of sudden enlightenment, "I understand what's going on." He raised his hand and pointed at Qin Haodong, "This man is Lin Momo's toy boy. You came with him, obviously to suppress our Feng's group for Lin's group. Your behavior is illegal business competition. I'll report it to your superior." Nalan Wuxia said, "You can report it, but you have to carry out my order now." Feng Tianda said, "I said it's a legal business competition, so I can't carry it out." Nalan Wuxia's face darkened and she said angrily, "Feng Tianda, are you going against the law? It's too big for me to bear." Feng Tianda said, "You'd better leave now or I'll kick you out." Nalan Wuxia said angrily, "Feng Tianda, kick me out." Feng Tianda sneered, "Nalan Wuxia, you've gone too far. Even a rabbit bites when it's anxious." Then he turned around and waved his hand, "Brothers, come out. Please ask Miss Nalan to leave." As soon as he finished his words, a group of men in black immediately surrounded him. Among them, 20 were from the Jade Gang in Burma brought by Meng Tai, and the other 30 were the bodyguards of the Feng family. All of them looked ferocious as if they were demons. They did not take Nalan Wuxia's identity seriously at all. Feng Tianda said proudly, "Nalan Wuxia, I know you and this toy boy have some skills, but 2 fists can't defeat 4 hands. No matter how good you are at fighting, can you beat the people behind me?" He was really confident today. The bodyguards of the Feng family and the Jade gang were all elites, much more powerful than ordinary people. Qin Haodong couldn't beat so many people no matter how good he was at fighting. Qin Haodong smiled and said, Master Feng, are we going to compete in numbers? Seeing Qin Haodong smile, Feng Tianda got angry and yelled, Yes, so what? I have more people than you. This is the territory of the Feng family. It's not a place for a toy boy like you to be arrogant. I don't think so. Qin Haodong smiled playfully. Nalan Wuxia was here on behalf of the crime squad, and this Feng Tianda dared to compete with the police in numbers. He suspected that there was something wrong with his brain. Boy, you still don't believe it? Feng Tianda waved his hand to the people behind him and said, Brothers, let's teach this toy boy a lesson. As soon as he finished speaking, they heard a siren before they started. Then more than a dozen police cars drove into the exhibition center, followed by 4 large military trucks. The police cars rushed into the isolation area and surrounded the people in the center. Feng Tianda was dumbfounded. He had just said that they had more people and then a large group of people came. What made his heart tremble the most was the 100 armed policemen who jumped down from the 4 military trucks. These people were fully armed and armed with live ammunition. The sound of their leather boots hitting the ground made the ground tremble, giving off a sense of heaviness. Qin Haodong smiled at Feng Tianda and said, What do you think? Do you want to do it, Master Feng? Do you want to compete in numbers? Feng Tianda was speechless. He didn't have the courage to fight against the armed police. The armed police of Wuxia were famous for being elites. His men couldn't compete with them at all. Meng Tai took 2 steps forward and whispered in Feng Tianda's ear, What should we do? Don't be nervous. Our Feng family has been in the south of the Yangtze River for so many years. We can't be easily bullied. After saying that, Feng Tianda quickly took out his cell phone from his pocket and dialed a number. Uncle Lu? This is Tianda. Lin's group colluded with your crime squad. A lot of people came to detain my legal goods. Please come and have a look. He didn't know what the other side said, but Feng Tianda's nervousness disappeared when he hung up the phone. He looked proud again. These people were brought by Wang Jianfeng. After he organized the encirclement, he strode to Nalan Wuxia and Qin Haodong. After knowing the situation from Nalan Wuxia, he said to Feng Tianda, Mr. Feng, your raw gemstone exhibition is suspected of a drug trafficking case. Now you and your men need to go to the crime squad for investigation. Chapter 97. Wang Jianfeng said coldly, If Mr. Feng thinks there is something wrong with our law enforcement, you can report it to your superior according to the procedure. But now you must cooperate with us, or you will be punished for obstructing official business. Feng Tianda said, Wang Jianfeng, don't try to pressure me with official business. You are just a captain of the criminal police. You have no right to speak in Jiangnan. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and get out of here with your people. Otherwise, when Deputy Bureau Chief Lu comes, you'll have to bear the consequences. Who is Deputy Director Lu? Qin Haodong asked Nalan Wuxia in a low voice. Nalan Wuxia said, He is the Deputy Director of the Jiangnan Municipal Public Security Bureau. It is said that he has a close relationship with Feng's group. Qin Haodong understood. No wonder this guy became so confident after a phone call. It turned out that he had found someone behind him. He said to Feng Tianda, Young Master Feng, you just had more people. Now you want to see whose background is stronger? Feng Tianda said, So what? I'm telling you, pretty boy, you are not good enough to do anything to our Feng family in Jiangnan. Wang Jianfeng frowned slightly. If it was really Deputy Director Lu who came, he would be much lower in rank. It would be a bit difficult. Feng Tianda seemed to see his hesitation. He shouted arrogantly, Wang Jianfeng, listen to me. Take your people away or you may lose your job. Just then, a black sedan drove in at high speed. It's Director Lu. Feng Tianda ran to open the door happily. A middle-aged man in his 50s came out of the car. It was Lu Bingzhong, the Deputy Director of the Jiangnan Public Security Bureau. Uncle Lu, you finally came. I was bullied by your men. Feng Tianda hurriedly began to complain. I see. Lu Bingzhong had always been on good terms with the Feng family, and secretly got a lot of benefits. Now that the Feng family was in trouble, he couldn't ignore it. Besides, these were all his men. He stepped to Wang Jianfeng and Nalan Wuxia with his hands behind his back and said with great authority, What's the matter? Who asked you to come? Don't you know that arbitrary law enforcement will affect the normal operation of the enterprise? Nailin Wuxia was not afraid of Lu Bingzhong at all. She said, "Director Lu, you just arrived here and haven't understood the situation yet. How can you say that we are enforcing the law randomly?" Lu Bingzhong's expression froze. He didn't expect that Nailin Wuxia wouldn't give him face in front of so many people. He said with a sullen face, "You didn't report such a big operation to me. Isn't this arbitrary law enforcement?" Nailin Wuxia said, "Director Lu, have you forgotten that Captain Fong has been assigned to command the criminal police unit these days? He doesn't need to report to you at all." Lu Bingzhong was speechless for a while. Just as Nailin Wuxia had said, recently, in order to concentrate on solving cases involving the Jiangnan Criminal Police Unit had been assigned by the Municipal Public Security Bureau to Fang Chuanxiong for the drug case. However, after all, he had been in officialdom for a long time, so he quickly said, "No matter who is in charge, there must be evidence to solve a case. Do you have any evidence? Besides, you're dealing with a drug case. Why are you here at the raw gemstone market? Could it be that there are drugs in the stone?" Nailin Wuxia said, "Director Lu, you're right. There are indeed drugs in the stone." Then she took out a piece of test result and gave it to Lu Bingzhong. "This is the test result of the raw jade gemstone made by our criminal police unit half an hour ago. There are a lot of heroin in it." Meng Tai's expression suddenly changed. Meng Tai's face suddenly changed. He knew the details of the raw jade gemstones better than anyone else, but he didn't know when the criminal police team took the samples and when did they do the test? It should be noted that this place was strictly guarded and no outsiders were allowed to enter. Lu Bingzhong's face also darkened when he got the test result. He turned to look at Feng Tianda. Feng Tianda yelled, "Nailin Wuxia, you even made a fake test result to help Lin's group and this toy boy." "Nonsense. Who said that my test result is fake?" Feng Tianda yelled angrily, "Tell me, when did you get the evidence from me and who saw you do the test?" Lu Bingzhong seemed to have something on him. He turned to Nailin Wuxia and said, "Yes, Captain Nailin. Is our evidence collection procedure legal? When did you get the evidence from here?" Well, Nailin Wuxia was speechless for a moment. She couldn't say that the stone was stolen from here. Wang Jianfeng said, "Director Lu, it's simple. There are so many stones here. We can just take one back for the test. If it's true, we'll handle it according to the law. If it's fake, Captain Nailin and I will apologize to Feng's group together." With Lu Bingzhong by his side, Feng Tianda was much more confident. He yelled, "Nonsense. What do you think Feng's group is? Are you kidding? What you've done has caused a great negative impact on Feng's group. You must take him away and apologize." Lu Bingzhong said with a sullen face, "Yes, we have repeatedly stressed that we should serve the enterprise. Look at what you're doing now. You came here to arrest people without conclusive evidence. You don't look like a policeman. Take him back and apologize to Feng's group publicly." Well, Wang Jianfeng was in a dilemma. From the bottom of his heart he trusted Qin Haodong very much. Otherwise he wouldn't have surrounded the whole raw gemstone market with so many people. Lu Bingzhong was originally his immediate superior. Now that Lu Bingzhong stopped him from moving, he really didn't have a good solution. Seeing that his subordinates didn't listen to his orders, Lu Bingzhong was not happy. He said coldly, "Captain Wang, don't you even listen to my orders? Don't forget that you're a policeman. It's your duty to obey your superior's orders. Do as I say." Now Wang Jianfeng was in a dilemma. If he took Qin Haodong back like this, all his previous efforts would be wasted, and it would be impossible to solve the case. But if he didn't take Qin Haodong back, he had to obey Lu Bingzhong's order. Nailin Wuxia opened her mouth, but she didn't say anything. Although her Nailin family was not afraid of Lu Bingzhong, after all, the rank of the position was there, and there was also Wang Jianfeng in front of her. As the deputy captain, she naturally couldn't make a decision for the captain. Seeing that Lu Bingzhong had the situation under control, Feng Tianda showed a proud look. Meng Tai behind him also breathed a sigh of relief. "Director Lu, are you sure you want to protect the Feng family? It must not be easy for you to get to where you are today. Don't choose the wrong way, or there's no medicine for regret in this world." It was Qin Haodong who spoke. Wang Jianfeng and Nailin Wuxia couldn't say anything, so he naturally stood up. Lu Bingzhong frowned when he saw a young man in his 20s daring to speak to him in such a tone. "Who are you? What do you do?" "My name is Qin Haodong, a doctor." Feng Tianda seized the opportunity and whispered in Lu Bingzhong's ear, "Uncle Lu, this is Lin Momo's toy boy. What happened today is all because of him." Lu Bingzhong looked straight at Qin Haodong and said in a cold voice, I'm the Deputy Director of the Public Security Bureau. I don't need you to teach me how to do things. Qin Haodong shook his head and said, as a Deputy Director, you can't distinguish right from wrong. You will regret it if you protect the criminal. Lu Bingzhong was furious and shouted to Wang Jianfeng, this man is spreading lies and slandering the Deputy Director. I order you to arrest him immediately and punish him severely. He was really angry. A little doctor dared to look down on him, the director. He had to teach him a lesson. But as soon as he finished his words, someone shouted behind him, Director Lu, you are so powerful. He looked back and saw Fang Chuanxiong, the leader of the Special Task Force, walking over. Leader Fang, you're here. Lu Bingzhong hurried to greet him. Although he was the Deputy Director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau, Fang Chuanxiong was from the police department. His rank was one level higher than the director of the Jiangnan Public Security Bureau, let alone the deputy director. He just thought that he had the highest position and could control everything, but the situation immediately changed when Fang Chuanxiong came. Fang Chuanxiong walked over and ignored Lu Bingzhong. Instead, he stepped forward and said to Qin Haodong, Brother Qin, you have helped me a lot this time. After this case is solved, I will ask for your credit. These words were completely from the bottom of his heart. Although he was the team leader of the task force and had a high position and power, he also bore great pressure at the same time. There was news from the Golden Triangle that the drugs had entered Wuxia, but he had no clue at all. He had long been anxious. He just got the report from Wang Jianfeng that Qin Haodong had found the drugs into Jiangnan City. He was so happy and hurried over, but there was some traffic jam on the road, so he came a little late. Lu Bingzhong next to him was a little dumbfounded. He knew what kind of person Fang Chuanxiong was. He had a high position and was extremely arrogant. Since he came to Jiangnan City, he had not even been so polite to the director. He did not expect that he would be so respectful to the young man in front of him. Didn't they say that he was just a little doctor? How could this be? Qin Haodong said, Brother Fang, I would have been arrested if you had come a little later. Lu Bingzhong had just bullied him. Now that there was a suitable opportunity, he naturally did not mind stabbing him. Fang Chuanxiong said, Brother Qin, as long as I am here, no one dares to hurt you. After that, he turned to Lu Bingzhong and said, Director Lu, you were there at the meeting a few days ago, weren't you? Now the Jiangnan Criminal Police Unit is under my command. Why are you here to give orders? Well, Lu Bingzhong was a little embarrassed, but he had to bite the bullet and said, I just think that their procedures are a little improper, so, before he could finish, Fang Chuanxiong interrupted him, Director Lu, you said that their procedures are improper. Do you think it is proper for you to intervene in the case? Well, cold sweat immediately covered Lu Bingzhong's forehead. It was said that a higher rank could crush a person. Fang Chuanxiong was several ranks higher than him, and he did violate the rules first. Forget it. Let's call it a day. I will truthfully report it to the higher-ups later. After that, Fang Chuanxiong turned to Wang Jianfeng and said, Captain Wang, let's start. Yes. Wang Jianfeng answered in a loud voice. The depression that had accumulated in his chest just now was swept away. Fang Tianda was a little confused. His big backer was trampled under the foot of the blink of an eye. He really couldn't understand how a toy boy like Qin Haodong knew a big shot like Fang Chuanxiong. He looked at Lu Bingzhong again, trying to figure out what to do next. But Lu Bingzhong just lowered his head and ignored him. It was no wonder that Lu Bingzhong couldn't even protect himself at this time, let alone the Fangs group. With Fang Chuanxiong's identity and status, if he really reported Lu Bingzhong to the higher-ups, he would probably lose his position as the deputy director. After receiving Fang Chuanxiong's order, Wang Jianfeng and Nailan Wuxia immediately organized to arrest the people at the scene. Seeing that the situation was over, Meng Tai shouted, Stop, all of you, or I will blow you up. Chapter 98. Meng Tai's action was out of everyone's expectation. Everyone was shocked. Even Feng Tianda, who had been with Meng Tai the whole time, didn't expect that Meng Tai had so many bombs on him. He was so scared that he hurried to dodge. Lu Bingzhong was in a cold sweat. He believed Feng Tianda's words and thought that Lin's group was here to suppress Feng's group, so he stood up for the Fengs. But the situation in front of him didn't seem to be that simple. He had been a basic policeman step by step, so he was very experienced. He immediately realized that something was wrong. If what Qin Haodong said was true, that there were drugs hidden in all the stones, his face turned pale when he thought of what he had just done. He couldn't afford the consequences. The policemen led by Fang Chuanxiong were also nervous. They thought that they could catch the criminals once and for all with so many policemen. They didn't expect that this would happen. Step back, everyone. No one is allowed to shoot without my order. Fang Chuanxiong showed the qualities of an excellent commander. Although he was shocked, he didn't panic. He ordered his men to spread out, but he didn't withdraw the encirclement. Meng Tai laughed arrogantly and shouted, "How about it? Are you all scared? Let me tell you, I have a bomb on my waist. It's useless to dodge it. As long as I press this remote control, we'll all go to heaven together." Fang Chuanxiong said, "If we all die, you won't live either. It's not good for anyone. Hand over the remote control and we can talk." Meng Tai laughed again, "Do you think I'm a kid? If I hand over the remote control, I won't have any bargaining chips at all." "What the hell do you want?" Fang Chuanxiong looked calm, but he was actually very nervous. It was good to solve the drug case, but the first step was to ensure the safety of his men. If there were too many casualties, the loss would outweigh the gain. "I'm an easy person to talk to. I have 2 conditions. First, find a transport helicopter immediately and let us brothers leave. Second, give me that toy boy named Qin Haodong. How dare he put my brother in prison? I'll kill him today." Qin Haodong didn't know that the bearded man in front of him was Meng Gang's brother until now. No wonder he looked familiar. They did look a little alike. Fang Chuanxiong's face was so gloomy that it seemed like it could drip water. Today's matter was indeed very serious. After a moment of contemplation, he said, "I can consider the first condition, but it will take time. I don't have the authority to mobilize the helicopter, so I have to ask the higher-ups. The second condition is definitely out of the question. I can't hand Brother Qin over to you." After listening to his words, Nalan Wuxia could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. If Fang Chuanxiong really considered handing over Qin Haodong, she would have stood up and opposed it immediately. Qin Haodong nodded secretly. Although he didn't take Meng Tai seriously at all, Fang Chuanxiong's performance was not bad, and he deserved to be friends with him. "Do you really think I don't dare to press the remote?" Meng Tai's face twisted and a crazy look flashed across his face. "Let me tell you, it's worth it to exchange my worthless life for all of you. Hurry up and give me that pretty boy with the surname Qin, or we'll all die together." Feng Tianda was the closest to Meng Tai. If he really pressed the bomb, Meng Tai would be the first to die and he would be the second. He had always been afraid of death. Looking at the flashing receiver on Meng Tai's waist all the time, he was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly said, "Brother Meng, let's talk it over. Don't be impulsive." Meng Tai said, "There's nothing to talk about. My parents died when I was a child and my brother brought me up. Now this pretty boy sent my brother to prison and I have to kill him." Speaking of this, he shouted to Fang Chuanxiong, "Don't say that I'm heartless. You have 1 minute to give me that pretty boy or we'll all die together." Feng Tianda shouted to them, "Hurry up and give me that pretty boy or we'll all die together." Nalan Wuxia immediately came to Fang Chuanxiong and said, "Leader Fang, Dr. Qin is here to help us. We can't hand him over no matter what." Wang Jianfeng followed and said, "Yes, Leader Fang, we have to ensure Dr. Qin's safety no matter what." Lu Bingzhong said, "But this guy looks like a lunatic. What if he presses the remote if we really don't hand him over? The casualties would be too great. We have more than 100 lives here." Nalan Wuxia said, "It's useless to be afraid of death now. We'll all die together." Wang Jianfeng said in a low voice, "We can't hand him over. How about we try the snipers?" This operation was arranged very carefully. Before they came in, they had already set up snipers at the commanding heights in case of emergencies. Fang Chuanxiong shook his head and said, "We can't use the snipers. Even if we blow his head, we can't guarantee that he won't press the remote before he dies. It's too risky." Wang Jianfeng said, "Then what should we do? Why don't we take a gamble? His bomb might not be real anyway. I'll be the first to arrest him." "No, his bomb is real," said Qin Haodong. He did feel a great threat from Meng Tai, so he was sure that the bomb on Meng Tai's waist was real. He said to Fang Chuanxiong and the others, "Don't worry. Since he asked me to go there, I'll go and have a look." After that, he turned around and walked to Meng Tai. Nalan Wuxia grabbed his arm and said, "No, you'll die if you go there." Qin Haodong was very touched by the violent policewoman's concern. He smiled and said, "Don't worry. He just wants to have a friendly chat with me." "That's impossible. He'll kill you if you go there," Nalan Wuxia said anxiously. "He's just a small fry in Burma. He can't kill me." Feng Tianda was handcuffed after he resisted for a while. He shouted to Lu Bingzhong, "Uncle Lu, help me now." Lu Bingzhong turned his head and walked out of the hall. He was sure that he couldn't protect himself after such a big thing happened. His top priority was to find a way out for himself. He had no time to care about Feng Tianda. Seeing Meng Tai and Feng Tianda were handcuffed, his men didn't dare to resist anymore. They were all taken to the police cars. Naylan Wuxia came to Qin Haodong and asked with concern, "How are you? Are you okay?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "I'm fine. It's just that he has too much beard. I don't feel good at all." Naylan Wuxia asked, "How did you do it?" "What do you mean? Don't you know how to blabber?" "That's not what I mean. I'm asking how you made Meng Tai hand over the pistol and the remote control." Qin Haodong didn't want to tell her about his mind manipulating. He said with a smile, "I don't know. I asked him for it and he gave it to me. Maybe I'm too handsome." "Handsome my ass." Naylan Wuxia didn't believe him. But she didn't ask more since Qin Haodong didn't want to tell her. Fang Chuanxiong strode over and held Qin Haodong's hand. He said excitedly, "Brother Qin, you've done me a great favor today. If you hadn't dealt with Meng Tai, I really don't know what would have happened." Qin Haodong said, "It's nothing." He was telling the truth. What happened today was really not difficult for a cultivator. The matter was settled. The raw gemstone hall of Feng's group was directly sealed by the police. Wang Jianfeng arranged technicians to pick fake raw gemstones made of drugs. Qin Haodong was about to leave when Naylan Wuxia stopped him. "Everything has been settled. You don't have time to treat me to dinner. Why are you stopping me? Go to the criminal police unit and help us with the interrogation." Naylan Wuxia wouldn't let Qin Haodong go. The efficiency of the interrogation would be dozens of times higher with him. Qin Haodong said, "Officer, I'm free but you can't use me like this." Naylan Wuxia said, "It's fine if you don't go. Tell me the secret of how you made Meng Tai hand over the pistol." "Forget it. I'll go with you. A good citizen like me likes cooperation between the police and the people." Chapter 99. In the interrogation room of the criminal police unit of Jiangnan City, Feng Tianda, who used to be famous, was handcuffed to an iron stool. Naylan Wuxia and Qin Haodong were sitting opposite him. Qin Haodong smiled at Feng Tianda and said, "Young Master Feng, we meet here. We haven't had a good chat after knowing each other for so long. Let's have a good chat today." "Pretty boy, you won't end well for treating me like this." Feng Tianda said and shouted to Naylan Wuxia, "Let me go. I'm the young master of the Feng family. You can't do this to me." Naylan Wuxia banged on the table and said, "Feng Tianda, if what happened today is related to your Feng's group, the Feng family in Jiangnan will be gone. How dare you act like a young master?" Feng Tianda was a little surprised and said, "I don't know what case you're talking about. Our family is a legal business. We never do anything illegal. Meng Tai is from Burma. I didn't know he had a bomb with him." Feng Tianda was surprised. Naylan Wuxia said, "Even if Meng Tai has nothing to do with you, there are a lot of drugs in the raw jade gemstones of your Feng's group. According to the preliminary estimation of our technicians, there must be more than 1,000 kilograms of drugs extracted. Do you know what 1,000 kilograms means? It's heroin, not flour. Heroin, not flour. It's enough for the Feng family to die 1,000 times." What? That's impossible. You and Lin's group must be slandering our Feng family. How could there be drugs in those raw jade gemstones? Feng Tianda was scared and broke into a cold sweat. He was no longer arrogant. He was not a fool. Of course he knew what 1,000 kilograms of drugs meant in Wuxia. "Nonsense. Do you still refuse to come to your senses? We are handling the case impartially. It has nothing to do with Lin's group." Feng Tianda cried in horror, "I'm wronged. I'm really wronged. Our Feng family can't even make money legally. How could we touch drugs? We'll find out whether you and Feng's group are wronged or not. What's true can't be false. What you need to do now is to cooperate with our investigation." "Yes, I will." Feng Tianda nodded in a hurry. Naylan Wuxia said, "Then tell me, what's the matter with those raw jade gemstones? Where did the drugs come from?" Feng Tianda said, "In fact, those raw jade stones don't belong to our family at all." Naylan Wuxia frowned and said, "Feng Tianda, you have to know that those raw jade gemstones are in your Feng's group. It's useless to deny it." "I really didn't lie. Listen to me." Feng Tianda explained nervously, "I admit that those raw jade gemstones were placed in our warehouse, but they didn't belong to us. 3 days ago, our business partner, Zhou Tianhu, the boss of the Jade Gang in Myanmar, called me and told me that he needed to transfer a batch of goods to the Feng family. He asked me to cooperate with him. As long as we finished the task, we would have a 20% discount on the raw jade gemstones imported from Myanmar. Every year, our Feng's group imports raw jade stones from Myanmar worth billions of yuan. If we can get a 20% discount, we can save a lot of money. Moreover, borrowing the venue wasn't a big deal, so I agreed. Later, these raw stones were transported from Myanmar to Jiangnan City in 2 batches and then parked in the exhibition venue of our Feng's group. Meng Tai came with these stones. He was completely in charge of the raw jade gemstones. He didn't let me get involved at all. Nalan Wuxia asked, "Have you ever thought that there might be something wrong with these stones?" Feng Tianda said innocently, "I really didn't think about that. I've been making raw jade gemstones for so many years, and I've never heard that drugs could be hidden in them." Nalan Wuxia's face darkened and said, "Feng Tianda, you're really good at shirking responsibility. So this batch of drugs has nothing to do with your Feng's group?" Feng Tianda said, "It really has nothing to do with us. Our Feng's group was also cheated by Zhou Tianhu." Nalan Wuxia couldn't help but look at Qin Haodong. She didn't know whether Feng Tianda was telling the truth or not. Qin Haodong smiled at Feng Tianda and said, "Mr. Feng, aren't you Zhou Tianhu's brother-in-law? Why would he cheat you?" Feng Tianda was depressed when he thought of his amazing girlfriend Zhou Tsue and the beauties around Qin Haodong. He glared at Qin Haodong and didn't say anything. Qin Haodong stopped beating Mr. Feng. He directly used mind bewitching and asked the question that Nalan Wuxia had just asked. The result disappointed him slightly. Feng Tianda's answer was exactly the same as before. This guy really didn't lie. He was really cheated by Zhou Tianhu. It seemed that the Jade Gang was behind this major drug trafficking case. Zhou Tianhu took advantage of the raw jade gemstone exhibition held by the Feng's group to transport the raw jade gemstones into Wuxia. He stored them in the Feng's group and then looked for the right opportunity to sell them. If that was the case, although the Feng's group also had to bear some responsibility, it wouldn't be too big. At least, the Feng family wouldn't be destroyed. Whether it was for the interests of the Lin's group or for Qin Haodong's personal feelings, he hoped that Feng Tianda would bear more responsibility in this case. But the fact was not like that. In fact, with his ability he could totally make Feng Tianda make a false statement through mind manipulating, so that the Feng family wouldn't be punished. But as the Emperor Greenwood, he didn't want to do that. Later, he cooperated with Nalan Wuxia to interrogate Meng Tai and other main criminal members. The result was basically the same as what Feng Tianda said. Although the case didn't completely destroy the Feng family, the Feng's group was closed down because of the case. Liu Bingzhong was also removed from the position of deputy director of the municipal bureau. A series of blows hurt the vitality of the Feng family. Seeing that it was almost time, Qin Haodong left the crime squad. Tonight was the final of the little fellow's singing competition. He couldn't be absent. Lin Momo also attached great importance to tonight's competition. She put off all the work at hand and accompanied the little fellow to the competition with Qin Haodong. They picked up Wang Jiani and went to the Jiangnan Art Museum together. After getting off the car, Qin Haodong was surprised to find that Wang Hongbing and his family were miraculously waiting in front of the door again. What was different this time was that he didn't bring many bodyguards with him. Instead, there was a young man dressed very brightly and wearing big sunglasses. However, he couldn't tell whether it was a man or a woman after looking at him for a long time. Qin Haodong smiled at Wang Hongbing and asked, "Boss Wang, what do you mean? Is your whole family welcoming us?" Wang Hongbing took a look at Lin Momo, who was both elegant and beautiful. Then he looked at Qin Haodong and the little fellow in his arms. They were just like a perfect family of 3. A look of jealousy flashed in his eyes. He said, "Qin, I just want to tell you that tonight's champion will belong to my son." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "You're so confident. Did Boss Wang promise something to the referee again?" "I don't need that kind of trick at all." Wang Hongbing pointed at the young man beside him and said to Qin Haodong proudly, "Look who this is." After he said that, everyone's attention turned to the young man. The young man looked arrogant. He raised his hand and took off his sunglasses, revealing a white face. When Wang Jiani saw the man's face clearly, she couldn't help but change her expression. Qin Haodong didn't understand. He said to Wang Hongbing, "What do you mean? Are you asking me to guess whether he's a man or a woman?" "I'm sorry to disappoint you. I really can't guess." The young man's face changed. "What are you talking about? He's a real man. He said this very angrily, but he was still a complete sissy. Wang Hongbing said, Qin, why are you pretending? This is Qiao Beibei, a big star from Jiangnan City. I don't believe you really don't know him. Qin Haodong was indeed not pretending. He didn't even know Ouyang Shanshan before. How could he know Qiao Beibei? He turned to Lin Momo and Wang Jiani and said, Who is Qiao Beibei? Is he famous? Lin Momo was usually busy with work and didn't pay much attention to the entertainment circle, but Wang Jiani knew Qiao Beibei's fame well. She said, He's really famous. He's a star from Jiangnan City. Especially in the past 2 years, he has sung several very popular songs in a row. He can be regarded as a second-rate singer in Wuxia. Qin Haodong nodded slightly, but he didn't care at all. A second-rate star was not in his eyes at all. Wang Hongbing said, What do you think? Now you know the power of our family. Qiao Beibei is my son's guest singer today. With his help, it's impossible for my son not to be the first. After all, strength decides everything in this world. I can spend 200,000 yuan to hire a guest singer for my son, but you can't. Although you have a few security guards, you can't even afford a guest singer. No matter how good your daughter is, the final champion can only be my son. Wang Hongbing looked disdainful. Then he led Qiao Beibei and the others into the venue. In his opinion, although Qin Haodong had a security company, he was not as powerful as the Wang family. Lin Momo turned to Qin Haodong and asked, What do you mean? What is a guest singer? She didn't accompany the little fellow to the competition last time, so she didn't know the rules today. Wang Jiani explained in detail that the contestants could invite a guest singer, and then said to Qin Haodong with a worried face, Dr. Qin, this is a bit troublesome. Qiao Beibei is really famous in Jiangnan. His performance will definitely affect the judgment of the judges. Maybe Wang Guan will really get the first place. Qin Haodong didn't care at all. It's not that serious. It's just a guy who is neither a man nor a woman. With me here, Tang Tang can't be the second place. Lin Momo complained, Why didn't you tell me earlier that Lin's group has some business dealings with some domestic stars? If you had told me earlier, I could have found someone to be the guest singer for the little fellow. Wang Jiani said, Dr. Qin, didn't you say you would find a guest singer for Tang Tang? Why don't I see him? Qin Haodong smiled and said, Don't worry. I've arranged everything. The little fellow asked, Papa, who on earth are you going to find to be the guest singer for me? It's a secret for now. You'll know when the time comes. It'll definitely surprise you. Qin Haodong said and walked into the venue with the little fellow in his arms. Soon the competition began. There were a total of 10 contestants. Wang Guan was the 9th and the little fellow was the last. Due to the participation of the guest singers, the atmosphere at the competition venue was very lively. The parents of the 8 contestants had also invited a variety of guest singers. These people were basically professional singers, but in terms of strength and fame, they were much worse than Qiao Beibei. Chapter 100. Gosh, someone invited Qiao Beibei as a guest singer. Whose kid is he? He's so good. Qiao Beibei, I love listening to his songs the most. Qiao Beibei, I love you. For a moment, the atmosphere was brought to the peak by Qiao Beibei's appearance. Wang Hongbing looked at Qin Haodong with a proud look. Qin Haodong shook his head secretly. He didn't expect this guy, who was neither a man nor a woman, to be so popular. On the stage, Qiao Beibei and Wang Guan sang the song Mommy is the Best in the World together. As a professional singer, Qiao Beibei was quite capable. Not only did she sing well, but she also mastered her skills, which made up for Wang Guan's shortcomings to the greatest extent. After the song was finished, the audience burst into thunderous applause, especially Qiao Beibei's fans. They were very enthusiastic, cheering and applauding. After the performance, Qiao Beibei held Wang Guan with one hand and kept waving to the fans under the stage with the other hand, which was indeed the style of a star. I already know the answer. Today's champion must belong to Qiao Beibei and this kid. Do you need to tell me that? I also know that even Qiao Beibei is on the stage. As long as the referee is not blind, he will give them the championship. There's another kid behind. I heard that she sings well. But it doesn't matter whether she is on the stage or not. No matter how good she is, she can't be better than Qiao Beibei. Hearing the discussion around them, Lin Momo and Wang Jiani looked gloomy. In their opinion, the little fellow had little hope of winning the championship. Qin Haodong, where's the guest singer you found for your daughter? Why hasn't he appeared? Did you forget? Lin Momo said discontentedly. Wang Jiani also complained, Yeah, how could you forget such an important thing? You've seen how important a guest singer can be. He can totally improve the quality of the show. Even the star effect can decide the result of the competition. Qin Haodong smiled and said, Why are you two so anxious? Our daughter's show hasn't started yet, has it? Wang Jiani just realized it and said strangely, Yeah, the last show has already ended. Why hasn't her show started yet? Did the host forget? The audience also began to make noise. What's going on? I remember there's still a kid. Why hasn't it started yet? Ma Hong said proudly, Is it because the judge has made a decision after our son's performance, so we don't need to compete anymore? Wang Hongbing held the crown and said proudly, I don't think so. Even if the first place is our son's, there is still the second place. The third place must be given to that little girl. Just when everyone was puzzled, the host walked onto the stage with the microphone and said to the audience, Don't worry, everyone. There will be a mysterious guest in the next program. Our staff needs to make some arrangements, but it won't take too long. It will be ready soon. After he finished speaking, the audience's curiosity was aroused. Chow Bei being able to come to the scene today had greatly exceeded everyone's expectations. Now the host said that there would be a mysterious guest. Who could it be? Ma Hong curled her lips and said, deliberately mystifying. No matter how famous he is, can he be more famous than superstar Chow? Wang Hongbing said, That's right. That gigolo is just a head of security. He's just a nouveau riche. It's impossible for him to invite a big star. Lin Momo looked at Qin Haodong in confusion and said, What mysterious guest? It's not your doing, is it? Qin Haodong smiled slightly and said, Take your time. You'll know soon. You're pretending to be mysterious. Lin Momo rolled her eyes at him and turned to look at the stage. At this time, the host announced, Contestant number 10, please come on the stage and perform. Qin Haodong kissed the little fellow on the cheek and said, Tang Tang, don't be nervous. The championship will be yours. The little fellow was very relaxed and said, Papa, Mama, I'll perform well. After that, Tang Tang walked to the stage. Today she wore a white princess dress, a red hairpin and a delicate little face. She was like a little princess coming out of a fairy tale. With her super cute appearance, she won a warm applause as soon as she came on the stage. What's the use of being beautiful? She can't be compared to our son. The beauty and cuteness of the little fellow made her extremely jealous. That's right. No guest has appeared until now. No matter how good she sings, she can't be compared to Star Chow, so the championship must be our son. As soon as Wang Hongbing finished speaking, the lights on the stage suddenly turned on. People's attention was immediately attracted to the stage. No one knew when a white curtain was pulled up on the right side of the stage. The scene behind the curtain was not very clear, but people could vaguely see a piano with a woman sitting behind it. The woman was slim and had long hair. Although there was a curtain, she still gave people a sense of elegance. Who is this? Is she the mysterious guest? Who is she? She looks very beautiful. Nonsense. You haven't seen her face. How do you know she is beautiful? But she seems to have a strong aura, Lin Momo said to Qin Haodong. Is this the guest you found for your daughter? Qin Haodong said with a smile, Of course. Tang Tang's competition is such a big event. How can I forget? Wang Jiani asked, Who is she? Why does it look so familiar? Don't worry. I told you it's the mysterious guest. If I say it, it won't be mysterious. As soon as Qin Haodong finished speaking, the performance on the stage had already begun. The little fellow held the microphone and said, I'm contestant number 10, Tang Tang. Today I'll perform before the flowers and under the moon for you. This little girl is so brave. She dares to challenge Ouyang Shanshan's song. This is Ouyang Shanshan's new song. I like it best. I just don't know if this little princess can sing it well. After Tang Tang finished speaking, the woman in the curtain flicked her fingers. The music sounded, which happened to be the prelude of the song Before the Flowers and Under the Moon. The little fellow held the microphone and sang happily. Her voice was sweet and she grasped the rhythm of the song very accurately. As soon as she sang a few lines, there was a warm applause from the audience. Wang Jiani said with admiration, Tang Tang is really talented in music. It's really rare that she can perform this song to such an extent at such a young age. It's a pity that she is still a little young and lacks the charm of the original singer. Qin Haodong said, Don't worry. We still have a guest singer, don't we? Just then, a beautiful voice came from behind the curtain. It was a perfect combination with the little fellow's singing. It was like the sound of nature, full of charm, and perfectly made up for the shortcomings that Wang Jiani had just mentioned. Oh my god, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Wang Jiani opened her mouth in surprise. After a moment of sluggishness, she pulled Qin Haodong and asked, "Who is this? How can she sing so well? She's not worse than Ouyang Shanshan." Not only Wang Jiani was surprised, but the audience present also exclaimed and were shocked by the strength of this guest singer. Ma Hong said worriedly in Wang Hongbing's ear, "That gigolo boy not only found a guest singer, but also has such a strong strength. It seems that our son's position is a little dangerous." Wang Hongbing said, "What are you afraid of? What's the use of strength alone? The most important thing is fame. Can she be more famous than Star Chow?" "You're right. Fame is still the most important thing. Some of the judges today are fans of Star Chow. They will definitely give us high marks." Ma Hong nodded repeatedly and agreed with Wang Hongbing's words very much. But she did not notice that Chow Beibei next to her was staring at the person on the stage with a dull expression. On the stage, one big and one small, the two people sang better and better. It could be said that their cooperation was perfect. When the first small climax of the song came, the mysterious guest stood up from the chair, stretched out her hand, gently lifted the curtain, and walked to the stage with the microphone. When she lifted the curtain and showed her face, the people present were silent at first, and then they all stood up, screaming and shouting. "Ouyang Shanshan, my god, my idol, I finally see her. My heart is about to jump out, I'm going crazy, it's really Ouyang Shanshan. I said that no one can sing this song so well except her. Ouyang Shanshan, I love you, I love you." In such a big venue, the atmosphere suddenly soared, and the audience present went crazy for Ouyang Shanshan. Wang Jiani grabbed Qin Haodong's arm, and her nails even sank into his flesh. She looked a little crazy with excitement. "It's really Ouyang Shanshan. How did you invite him? No wonder you don't need me to find a guest for Tang Tang. With Ouyang Shanshan here, you don't need anyone else." Although Lin Momo did not follow stars, she also knew Ouyang Shanshan's fame. Last time Qin Haodong got so many signatures of Ouyang Shanshan, she was very surprised. She did not expect that he directly invited Ouyang Shanshan here today. It should be known that Ouyang Shanshan was the top singer in Wuxia, a figure like the queen of singing. In terms of pretentiousness, she was several streets behind the second-rate singer Chow Beibei. It was impossible to invite such a big singer even if you had money. She really did not know how Qin Haodong did it. Qin Haodong was the calmest person in the venue. When he learned that the little fellow needed a guest, he immediately called Ouyang Shanshan. Ouyang Shanshan had regarded Qin Haodong as her big benefactor, so she naturally would not refuse such a small matter. She gladly came to the venue. Wang Hongbing and Ma Hong were completely dumbfounded. They had used a lot of connections to be able to invite Chow Beibei, and they had paid a one-time fee of 200,000 yuan. Otherwise, why would he come to such a high level to be a guest performer for a kid? They had thought that after paying such a big price, Wang Guan would definitely win the championship of this competition. Who knew that the queen of singing Ouyang Shanshan would come out of nowhere and directly shattered their fantasy. The audience below the stage went crazy, but the two people on the stage were not affected at all. When the little fellow saw Ouyang Shanshan coming out, she was excited at first, and then she sang even harder. The two beauties, one big and one small, held hands and performed the song to the extreme. After the performance, there was a tsunami of cheers in the venue. The audience below the stage rushed to the stage like crazy, wanting to take photos with Ouyang Shanshan. Even Chow Beibei, who was next to Wang Hongbing, rushed to the stage. Fortunately, the venue had been fully prepared before. Dozens of security guards pulled up a human wall on the stage to protect Ouyang Shanshan. Soldier King Chen Fugue and 4 other 8th-class bodyguards protected Ouyang Shanshan and the little fellow in the middle. "My friends, please calm down. Our competition is not over yet. Please go back to your seats." Chapter 101. The 10 young contestants had finished their performances and the judges began to get busy. Do we even need to count? The first place must belong to this little girl. That's right. There's no suspense at all. If she doesn't get the first place, I'll be the first one to complain to the judges. I really don't know whose child this is. Her parents are so proud to be able to invite Ouyang Shanshan to be her assistant. To be able to see the heavenly queen in a competition of this level, it's simply something I've never dreamed of. Yeah, I heard that Ouyang Shanshan's appearance fee is no less than 2 million. I wonder how much she will charge this time. You're so vulgar. It's not about money at all. Ouyang Shanshan is definitely a superstar that can't be invited even if you have money. How about I give you 2 million and you invite her to sing a song with me? Although the judges hadn't announced the final result, everyone already had the answer in their hearts. The first place was undoubtedly Tang Tang. The little fellow sang well, and the guest singer was Ouyang Shanshan, the heavenly queen of song. The two of them cooperated with each other perfectly. If the judges didn't give the first place to the little fellow, Ouyang Shanshan's fans would probably riot. So no one dared to take the risk. As expected, the judges soon came out. The chief judge went on the stage and announced the final ranking of today's competition. As expected, the little fellow won the championship. Although Wang Guan had greatly improved his score with the help of Qiao Beibei's popularity, he only got the second place. Hearing the result, Wang Guan immediately burst into tears. He tore Wang Hongbing's hair and cried, "Dad, I won't do it. Didn't you say that I'm a member of the Wang family? As long as I participate in the competition, I'll definitely be the champion. Why am I the second place? Why can Tang Tang be the champion?" As soon as he finished, before Wang Hongbing could say anything, the audience next to him became unhappy and began to criticize him. "Your ranking is already very good. Why don't you be satisfied? If it weren't for Qiao Beibei, you wouldn't even get the second place. That's right. I don't know how you got into the final with that singing ability of yours. Although your assistant is Qiao Beibei, she is Ouyang Shanshan. You can't compare at all. What's there to complain about? You can't sing as well as her, and you can't beat her even if you want to compete. What's the point of competing?" In the face of all kinds of accusations and preaching, Wang Hongbing's family of 3 was extremely embarrassed. They left the venue dejectedly and didn't even participate in the award ceremony. They left, but it did not affect the warm atmosphere in the venue. After the award ceremony, before Ouyang Shanshan and the little fellow walked down the stage, the audience rushed up and surrounded them tightly. Seeing that the scene was too chaotic, Ouyang Shanshan quickly held the little fellow in her arms. Several reporters with cameras rushed to the front, seizing this rare opportunity to interview Ouyang Shanshan. "Miss Ouyang, I'd like to ask you a question. You're here to participate in a children's singing competition today. How much is your appearance fee? Will it be sky high?" The reporter's question immediately aroused everyone's interest. In everyone's opinion, Ouyang Shanshan must have taken the opportunity to make a fortune by participating in a competition of this level. Ouyang Shanshan was used to this kind of scene. She said very calmly, "Actually, you've misunderstood. Today I'm performing for friendship. I won't charge a penny at all." "What? Not taking a single cent? How is that possible?" There was a commotion again. The reporter continued to ask, "Miss Ouyang, it is said that your appearance fee is more than 1 million yuan. Why did you come to be a free guest for a child?" Before Ouyang Shanshan could answer, another reporter who looked very gossipy followed and asked, "Miss Ouyang, this little girl is so beautiful and very much like you. Could she be your illegitimate daughter?" If an ordinary female star was asked this question, she would definitely be angry, but Ouyang Shanshan was very calm. She said with a smile, "If you want to say that we are similar, I can only say that we are both very beautiful. I can't find much else in common. Besides, I don't have this blessing. She has parents." The little fellow also said, "I have Papa and Mama." After that, she reached out her chubby little hand and pointed in the direction of Qin Haodong and Lin Momo. As a result, everyone's attention was shifted to Lin Momo and Qin Haodong. Looking at the two people standing together like a golden boy and jade girl, people sighed. No wonder the little girl was so beautiful. Her parents were good-looking. Her appearance was off the charts. Ouyang Shanshan took advantage of this opportunity and came to Qin Haodong's side under the escort of Chen Fugue and others. She sent the little fellow in her hand back. Qin Haodong took her and said, "Thank you for your help today." Ouyang Shanshan said, "Do I need to say thank you for our relationship? I should say thank you to you." Her words were very sincere and came from the heart. Qin Haodong also felt that it was reasonable, but it aroused the interest of the reporters next to them. They really couldn't understand what the relationship between Ouyang Shanshan and this handsome young man was. "Miss Ouyang, may we ask, what is your relationship with this gentleman?" "We are good friends," Ouyang Shanshan said. "Just friends? What kind of friend can make you do such a big favor?" "First of all, it's not a big favor. Also, we are very good friends." Ouyang Shanshan also knew that if she entangled with these reporters, she wouldn't be able to finish talking until tomorrow. Moreover, the more she talked, the more mistakes she would make, which would easily lead to some unnecessary gossip. Therefore, after answering the question, she said goodbye to Qin Haodong and then left the venue in a hurry under the escort of Chen Fugue and others. What she didn't know was that even so, gossip quickly spread all over the internet and refreshed the entertainment headlines of some small websites, saying that the big star Ouyang Shanshan had an illegitimate daughter. The competition was over, so Qin Haodong and Lin Momo left with the little fellow. After leaving the venue, they didn't go home directly. Instead, they went to a Western restaurant to celebrate with the little fellow. The little fellow won the singing competition, so the whole family was naturally very happy. Qin Haodong ordered a table full of delicious food, and Lin Momo ordered a bottle of red wine. After filling their glasses, Lin Momo raised her glass and said to Qin Haodong, "Thank you for doing so much for me. It's better than what I've done as a mother." Qin Haodong said, "What are you talking about? I'm Tang Tang's father. It's natural for me to do these things for her." Lin Momo was instantly silent. Qin Haodong's words reminded her of that night 5 years ago. The man left her Tang Tang, but then he disappeared. No matter how hard she tried to find him, she couldn't find him at all. She sighed. Maybe the man in front of her was the compensation from God. Not only was he very outstanding, but he was also good enough to Tang Tang, even better than her own father. Qin Haodong seemed to read her mind and said, "Come on, let's drink." Lin Momo raised her glass and drank up the wine in it. It seemed that she wanted to swallow all the bitterness of the past with this glass of wine. The little fellow was eating her favorite fruit salad. After seeing the two drinking, she also raised the drink in her hand and said, "Papa, Mama, I want to have a drink too." Qin Haodong filled their glasses again, clinked with the little fellows and said, "Okay, let's congratulate our Tang Tang together. She won the competition and will become a big star in the future." After the family of 3 had a drink together, Lin Momo's cell phone rang. After answering the phone, she asked Qin Haodong with a puzzled face, "The raw gemstone factory of Feng's group was closed down. Does it have anything to do with you?" Lin Momo was quite surprised by the news she just received. She knew that Lin's group had a very deep foundation in Jiangnan. How could it be closed down? She knew that Qin Haodong went to Feng's group today and then so many things happened. That was why she asked. Sort of. Qin Haodong told him what had happened today from beginning to end. Finally, he said, "Now the case has been cleared up. The Feng's group didn't know the existence of those drugs, so although it suffered a great loss, it's not a serious one. It's a pity." "That's very good." Thinking of how Qin Haodong had faced the guns of drug dealers alone, and how he was not afraid of the bomb on Meng Tai's body, and how he had done all that for her, Lin Momo was naturally moved. She even had tears in her eyes. She took a deep breath and said, "Thank you." Qin Haodong said, "Why? You're my woman and Tang Tang is my daughter. I should do anything for you. We're a family and we don't need to say thank you." The little fellow was eating a piece of steak. Hearing Qin Haodong's words, she also said, "Yes. Yes. We're all a family. We don't need to say thank you." Looking at her daughter's little face full of happiness, Lin Momo's heart was full of satisfaction. And it was all because of the man in front of her. Thinking of tonight's game, she asked again, "You haven't told me how you invited Ouyang Shanshan. A big star like her usually won't participate in such a low-level game for children. What's your relationship with her? How could she help you for free?" Qin Haodong looked at her meaningfully and asked, "Why? Are you jealous?" "No. I've said that as long as you treat me and Tang Tang well, I won't ask anything else." Lin Momo said, "I'm just curious. Why would Ouyang Shanshan help Tang Tang?" "Because she's a client of our daddy's security company." Qin Haodong then briefly told her about how he had helped Ouyang Shanshan. "Daddy's security company?" Lin Momo couldn't help laughing and said, "I really don't know how you came up with such a name for the security company. What's so strange about it? The reason why I set up this security company is to protect you and the little fellow. It turns out that the name is very good, and the business has been good since it opened." Thinking of Qin Haodong doing so much for her and the little fellow silently, Lin Momo's eyes were filled with tears again. But this time she didn't say thank you. Instead, she reached out her white and tender little hand and quietly held Qin Haodong's big hand. Qin Haodong was happy as if he saw hope. He whispered, "Momo, my house is being renovated. There's no place to stay tonight. Can you stay and not let me go?" Lin Momo didn't speak. After hesitating for a moment, she gently nodded. Chapter 102. After dinner, the 3 of them left the restaurant. Qin Haodong was in a hurry, so he drove very fast. In less than half an hour they returned to the Lin's villa. When they got home he was eager to go to bed, but the little fellow was so excited because she won a championship today. She ran around the hall happily and didn't want to sleep at all. Later he couldn't help but say, "It's time for bed. Go to bed." "Papa, but I'm so happy today. I'm not sleepy at all. Will you play with me?" Qin Haodong was eager to play with the child's mother. He said, "Well, Tang Tang, it's too late. If you don't go to bed you will disturb the neighbors." The little fellow blinked, looked at him and said, "But we have a separate house, don't we? How can we have neighbors?" Well, Qin Haodong realized that the Lin's villa was a separate building and there were no neighbors. "Well, Tang Tang, Papa has been busy all day. I'm a little tired. Let's go to bed." "Well, since Papa is tired, let's go to bed." Seeing that he had finally persuaded the little fellow, Qin Haodong was happy. But then Tang Tang said, "Papa, go to bed. I'll play with Mama." Well, Qin Haodong was disappointed again. What he wanted now was for the little fellow to go to bed and he would play with her mother. Helplessly, he sat on the sofa and looked at Tang Tang eagerly. He thought to himself, "Why doesn't this girl understand your father's eagerness? Go to bed." Looking at Qin Haodong's depressed expression, a playful smile appeared on Lin Momo's cold face. The little fellow played until midnight. Then she lay on the bed, holding Lin Momo's hand in one hand and Qin Haodong's in the other. She fell asleep with a happy face. Feeling the little fellow's even breath, Qin Haodong held Lin Momo's hand and whispered, "Tang Tang is asleep." As if feeling Qin Haodong's mind, Lin Momo's cheeks turned red. She whispered, "I know. Let's go to bed too." Qin Haodong said with a smirk, "What, sleep? How can you use such a good time to sleep? Don't you know that every minute of the night is precious?" After that, he stretched out his hands, gently picked up the little fellow and put her on his side. Then he turned over and lay beside Lin Momo. "What are you going to do?" Lin Momo seemed very nervous. Her voice was somewhat trembling and charming. "Since you already know, why are you still asking me?" Qin Haodong suddenly held Lin Momo in his arms and kissed her hard. "No. Tang Tang is still here." Lin Momo stretched out her hands to push Qin Haodong's chest, but she had no strength at all. "It's okay, the bed is so big we can't touch her. Besides, I'm tired and won't wake up for a while." After saying that, Qin Haodong's hands began to explore Lin Momo's delicate body. That won't work either," Lin Momo continued. "Why not? Don't you like me?" Qin Haodong asked. Yes, but," Lin Momo mumbled. The cold and arrogant female president was now like a little girl in love for the first time, extremely shy. Before she could finish her words, Qin Haodong blocked her cherry mouth with his big mouth, and then his offensive suddenly intensified. He was so passionate that his whole body seemed to be ignited by fire. However, when his big hand reached a certain part, his whole body suddenly stiffened, and his movements immediately stopped. Lin Momo became more and more shy and whispered, "I said no." Qin Haodong lay on the bed and asked helplessly, "When did she come?" Lin Momo said with a sneer, "Just now." Qin Haodong groaned inwardly. "My God, you can't play with me like this. It's not easy for the child's mother to agree, but it's her period. Is there anything more tragic than this?" However, although he did not achieve his ultimate dream, he finally slept with the woman he liked. It was much better to sleep with such a beautiful woman in his arms than alone. After a while, Qin Haodong slowly fell asleep with Lin Momo in his arms. Lin Momo was a little shy at first, but then she slowly adapted to Qin Haodong's arms and found a sense of security that she had never had before. She also slept very soundly. Early the next morning, when the two were sleeping soundly in each other's arms, they were suddenly awakened by the little fellow's cry. "Papa, Mama, what are you doing?" It turned out that the two had slept so soundly. The sun had risen high outside and even Tang Tang had gotten up. She was sitting next to them, looking at them with two big cute eyes, full of curiosity and confusion. Lin Momo opened her eyes and saw that she was hugging Qin Haodong's neck. They were so close that they could hear each other's breath. At this time, Qin Haodong's big hands were also in her pajamas. Seeing the little fellow next to her, she immediately became sleepy. Her cheeks flushed and she quickly pushed Qin Haodong away and pushed the two strange hands out of her pajamas. Qin Haodong looked back at the little fellow. He was a little embarrassed for taking her place, so he said, "Papa and Mama are sleeping. Why are you hugging each other when you sleep?" The little fellow asked again. "Yes, Mama is not good at sleeping. I was afraid that she would fall to the ground, so I pulled her a little bit." Qin Haodong thought for a long time and finally found a barely reasonable reason. But Papa, wasn't I in the middle? Why did you sleep in Tang Tang's place? Well, I don't know. Maybe Tang Tang was not good at sleeping, so she climbed over there. It seems that Tang Tang has to be good at sleeping in the future, or what if she falls to the ground? The little fellow muttered to herself. Seeing Qin Haodong fooling her daughter like this, Lin Momo secretly reached out her hand and pinched the soft flesh on his waist. It was so painful that Qin Haodong grimaced, but he did not dare to make a sound. Just then Qin Haodong's phone on the bedside rang. Papa, it's your phone? The little fellow immediately ran over and took Qin Haodong's old dammy mobile phone. Lin Momo said, "Why are you still using such an old mobile phone? Why don't you change it? As a capitalist boss, you don't pay me a salary. How can I afford to change it?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "It's good enough that the mobile phone can be used. Although it's a little broken, it's fully functional and of good quality." After that, he glanced at the phone number on the mobile phone. His expression suddenly became serious and he quickly pressed the answer button. "Little Dong, are you up?" A kind greeting came from the other side of the phone. The voice was not very pleasant, but it sounded very warm. "I'm up," Qin Haodong replied. Lin Momo was quite surprised. Qin Haodong had always been cynical. She had never seen him talk to someone so seriously. The other side of the phone said, "Little Dong, it's already the summer vacation. Why don't you come back to see your aunt? Grandpa and Grandma miss you very much. You didn't go home during the New Year. We haven't had dinner together for more than a year." Qin Haodong said, "Aunt, I stayed in Jiangnan to work, so I didn't go back." "You're always so competitive. If you have no money, just tell us and I will transfer it to your card. Although your uncle and I don't earn much, we don't spend much. The most important thing is that your sister graduated from college this year, so you don't have to worry about the tuition next year. I have already prepared it for you." "I see, Aunt." Qin Haodong could deeply feel the concern on the other side of the phone, and there was a faint mist in his eyes. "So don't work outside. Come back quickly. Grandma has been talking about you these days. She's waiting for you to come back to find a wife." Qin Haodong said, "I see, Aunt. I'll go back today." "Well, come back quickly. Your sister has already come back. When our family reunites, I will make your favorite braised pork." The other side of the phone said a few more words to Qin Haodong with concern and then hung up. Qin Haodong put away the phone and said to Lin Momo, "I'm sorry, I can't go to work today. I want to go back to my hometown. I have to ask for about a week's leave." "A week's leave? Are you going to go back for a blind date?" Lin Momo looked at Qin Haodong with a playful face. Qin Haodong's mobile phone was too old and the room was very quiet. Even the little fellow was obedient and did not speak, so she heard the content of the conversation clearly. Okay. Papa is going to go on a blind date. He's going to find a new mama for me." The little fellow jumped happily on the bed when she heard the news. Qin Haodong looked embarrassed. "Oh, that's just a joke. How could I go on a blind date?" Looking at Lin Momo's expression, he further explained, "Well, my grandma is old, so she wants to find a wife for me all day. It has nothing to do with me. And she doesn't know I have a girlfriend. If she knew there was a beauty like you, she wouldn't have asked me to go on a blind date." "Well, I'll believe you this time." Lin Momo said, "Was it your aunt who called? Why did you only hear Grandpa and Grandma but not your parents?" Qin Haodong's face darkened. He said, "I don't even know who my parents are. How could I mention them?" Lin Momo was slightly surprised and asked, "What's going on?" Qin Haodong sighed and said, "I was an orphan when I was a child. I was abandoned by my parents on the side of the road. I was not destined to die. An old Chinese medicine practitioner happened to pass by here, picked me up, and adopted me. When I grew up, I recognized the old Chinese medicine practitioner's family as my grandparents. The aunt who just called is his youngest daughter." "Oh?" Lin Momo knew that Qin Haodong had such an unknown life experience. She said, "The old Chinese medicine practitioner's family is very good to you. The aunt who called just now seems to care about you very much." Qin Haodong said, "Grandpa and Grandma are very good to me, even better than their own grandson." There was no need to mention my aunt. Although we weren't related by blood, she wasn't much different from my biological mother. After I was picked up by my grandpa, my aunt gave birth to my sister less than 3 days ago. She raised me and my sister together. Because I ate too much, my sister often didn't have enough to eat. Now when we meet, she complains that I robbed her of her food and caused her to be stunted. Speaking of this past, Qin Haodong smiled. It seemed that he was looking forward to the days when he was with his family. After a pause, he said, "My aunt was a primary school teacher and her income was not high. My uncle used to work in an enterprise, but later he was laid off. He could only earn some money by doing odd jobs. At first it was better. Later, my sister and I went to college together, and the family's financial situation suddenly became tense. My aunt was very thrifty. She was reluctant to change her clothes for several years, so that she could save money for us to go to school." Chapter 103. Lin Momo had never had to worry about food and clothing since she was a child. She had never experienced the suffering of ordinary people. She asked in confusion, "Isn't your grandfather an old Chinese medicine practitioner? I heard that doctors nowadays make a lot of money. Why are you so poor?" Qin Haodong said, "It's true that he is an old Chinese medicine practitioner, but he doesn't care about money. He cares more about curing diseases and saving people. He never charges medical fees for treating people, and the medical fees he charges are only a little more than the cost. He also gives medicine to the poor for free, so his income is not high. In addition, he has been buying houses for his two uncles' wives in recent years, so his life is very tight. Because of this, his two sons think that Chinese medicine is not profitable and no one will inherit his medical skills. My aunt wants to learn, but Grandpa is full of feudal ideas. He said that it should be passed on to men and not to women, so he didn't teach my aunt. I like Chinese medicine since I was a child and learned a lot from him." Lin Momo nodded and said, "You are unfortunate and lucky. Unfortunately, you were abandoned by your parents when you were a child. Fortunately, you met such a good family. They are all good people." Qin Haodong said, "In fact, it's not exactly like what you said. Grandpa and Grandma are really kind and good people. Aunt and uncle are also very good people, but I can't say the same for the two uncles. They not only didn't inherit Grandpa's medical skills, but also idle all day. They don't do any work at all. They just want to get money from Grandpa all day." Lin Momo said, "That can't be helped. The 9 sons of a dragon are different." Qin Haodong said, "I wanted to work in Jiangnan Hospital to pay for my tuition during this vacation, so I didn't go back. Now that I have some money, it's time to go back." Lin Momo said, "Grandpa, Grandma and Aunt are so good to you. You should go back and repay them." "Well, I won't go to work in the morning. I'll go with you to buy some gifts for them." Qin Haodong looked at her with a smile and said, "You're playing the role of a granddaughter-in-law so soon. Why don't you go back with me so that Grandma won't force me to go on a blind date?" Lin Momo blushed and said shyly, "Bah, I don't care about your blind date. You can go on as many blind dates as you want." Qin Haodong said, "You really don't want to go back with me?" Lin Momo lowered her head and whispered, "Is it really appropriate for me to go back with you like this? I'm afraid my grandparents will look down on me." It turned out that she had always felt inferior in front of Qin Haodong. She was a woman with a child, while Qin Haodong was a handsome and outstanding young man. Qin Haodong said, "It's not a big deal. Grandpa, Grandma and Aunt are very nice people. They will like you and Tang Tang very much." "All right, I'll think about it." Lin Momo asked again, "You haven't told me where your hometown is?" Qin Haodong said, "It's not far. It's in Wufeng County of Jiangnan City. It's only an hour or 2 by car." There were 2 counties and 5 districts in Jiangnan City. Wufeng County was one of the more remote counties, about 150 kilometers away from Jiangnan City. "Wufeng County?" Lin Momo said, "You go back by yourself today. I'm going to Wufeng County to talk about a project in a few days. You can visit your grandparents and aunt on the way." The little fellow cried, "I'll go too, I'll go too. I want to see Grandpa and Grandma too." Qin Haodong held her in his arms and said, "That's Daddy's Grandpa and Grandma. You can't call them Grandpa and Grandma. You should call them Grandpa and Grandma." He then said to Lin Momo, "Take Tang Tang with you. Let her see the place where I grew up." Okay. Daddy is the best to me," the little fellow said, holding Qin Haodong's neck and kissing him again and again. After breakfast, Qin Haodong and Lin Momo sent the little fellow to kindergarten and then went to buy gifts for their family. Lin Momo bought a lot of things. The Lamborghini Centenario and the Porsche 911 couldn't fit, so the Honda came in handy. The driver's seat and the trunk were full. After everything was packed, Lin Momo went back to work in the group. Qin Haodong drove out of Jiangnan City and went straight to Wufeng County. As soon as he drove on the highway, the mobile phone next to him rang. He glanced at the phone number and found it was Nalan Wuxia. Qin Haodong slowed down the car and answered the phone. He said with a smile, "Officer, are you going to make me do free labor again? I can't do it today. I'm not in Jiangnan City." Nalan Wuxia said, "That's a pity. I was going to treat you to dinner. It seems that the money for this meal is saved." "Really? Treat me to dinner? Is there such a good thing?" "To tell you the truth, I've been promoted," Nalan Wuxia said excitedly. "Yesterday's case was solved very well. Nearly 1,000 kilograms of drugs were seized. After the case was reported to the municipal bureau, Liu Bingzhong violated the procedures and interfered with the handling of the case, which almost affected the investigation of this major case. So he was removed from the position of Deputy Director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Captain Wang was promoted to the position of Deputy Director because of his meritorious service in solving the case, and I replaced him as the captain of the crime squad." "That's a good thing. Congratulations. But I'm really not in Jiangnan City. When I come back, I'll celebrate with you and Captain Wang." After these few times, Qin Haodong had a good impression of Wang Jianfeng, not to mention Nalan Wuxia. The promotion of the two was really a good thing for him. After chatting for a while, Nalan Wuxia hung up the phone. Qin Haodong sped up and entered Wufeng County an hour later. Qin Haodong grew up in this small county. He was very familiar with the environment here. Soon he drove to a small street in the west of the city. His grandfather's name was Li Qingshan. He opened a Jisher traditional Chinese medicine clinic on this street. The old man often said that as a doctor, he should practice medicine to win people's hearts. That was how the name of the clinic came about. The scale of the clinic was not large. It was opened in a small yard where Li Qingshan lived. There were 3 main rooms for his family. One of them was Qin Haodong's room. The other 3 gatehouses served as clinics for patients. After Qin Haodong entered the street, he found that there were 4 or 5 cars parked in front of the Jisher clinic and a lot of people gathered. These people were lying in front of the door and looking inside. It seemed that they were watching the fun, but they did not dare to go inside. Did something happen at home? It should not be. According to his grandfather Li Qingshan's character, even if the patient could not pay, he would always smile and never argue with others. How could something happen? The car was getting closer and closer. Qin Haodong faintly heard the quarrel coming from the yard. He quickly pulled over and then hurried to the door. At this time in the Jisher clinic, a bald middle-aged man in his 40s was sitting in an old-fashioned wooden armchair. He shouted arrogantly, "Smash it all. Let's see if this old man will give me a prescription or not." After he finished speaking, more than a dozen hooligans gathered in the room waved the steel pipes and machetes in their hands and smashed the Jisher clinic. The bottles, cans and all kinds of equipment in the room were smashed to pieces, and the sound of crashing echoed incessantly. "Bai Wenjie, bastard, you dare to smash my clinic. I will kill you." An old man in his 70s, dressed in a long robe, shouted and wanted to fight the bald man to the death. However, he was too old, and with his anger attacking his heart, he suddenly felt the world spin around him. His body tilted and he fell backward. Fortunately, a middle-aged woman and a girl of about 20 years old followed him closely. They rushed forward to support the old man. The girl pulled a chair and helped the old man to sit down. The middle-aged woman said, "Dad, don't be angry with this bastard. Evil people like him will be punished sooner or later." The old man was Qin Haodong's grandfather, Li Qingshan. The middle-aged woman was his aunt, Li Shulan. The girl was his sister, Wang Rubing, who grew up with him. "Bastard, you are a bastard. You will be punished sooner or later." Li Qingshan trembled in anger as he watched his entire life's work be destroyed bit by bit in the hands of these hooligans, but there was nothing he could do about them. "Bai Wenjie, don't be arrogant. I have called the police." "Calling the police? Is really interesting." Bai Wenjie laughed as if he had heard the most ridiculous thing. After laughing enough, he said, "Little girl, do you know that Wufeng County is my world? The director of the Public Security Bureau is my brother-in-law. What can you do if you call the police? If you don't believe it, wait and see if anyone dares to meddle in my business." At this time, the gangsters had smashed almost everything in the store. A yellow-haired gangster ran over, bowed and said, "Brother, we've smashed everything. If we keep smashing, we'll have to smash this old thing's bones." Bai Wenjie said, "What are you talking about? I always win people by virtue. I have just said that this time I only smash things. If you want to break the old man's bones, you have to wait until next time." With that, he smiled slyly at Li Qingshan. Old man Li, you've seen it too. My brothers don't have good tempers, so hurry up and write me the recipe. Otherwise, if my brothers lose their temper and tear apart your old bones, it won't be good for anyone. Wang Rubing said, we don't have a prescription for boys and girls at all. How can we write it to you? Bai Wenjie sneered and said, little girl, you are too young to lie to me. I have inquired clearly that this old man has a secret prescription for having a son. As long as you take the medicine according to the prescription, you can guarantee to have a boy. Li Qingshan said angrily, you are dreaming. I have my principles of practicing medicine. It is against the law of nature to judge a man and a woman. Even if I have a prescription, I will not give it to a villain like you. Bai Wenjie's face darkened. He stood up and walked to Li Qingshan. He said, old man Li, I will talk to you again. I have money but I have no son. I have 3 children but they are all girls. Who will give the hundreds of millions of property in the future? As long as you hand over your prescription, I will leave immediately. You open your clinic and I will give birth to my son. How nice it is that everyone is happy. If you don't give me face, I will tear down your store first and then I will break your old bones. Let's see whether your mouth is harder or your bones are harder. Li Qingshan trembled with anger and said angrily, how dare you? I don't believe that there is no law in this world. You can kill me if you have the ability. Bai Wenjie said, old man, are you senile? Do you want to die? It's just a fucking prescription. Do you want to take it to the coffin? I tell you, don't flaunt your seniority in front of me, or you will die without knowing how. Li Shulan pointed at him and scolded, Bai, you have done too many immoral things because you can't have a son. 7 people died in your mine the year before last. You not only didn't pay but also hurt the families of the deceased. Last year you made a lot of money in your mine, but you didn't pay the wages of the workers. How can an immoral person like you have a son? Chapter 104. Li Shulan scolded, you bastard, you have smashed my store. What else do you want? If you continue to do this wicked thing, not only you can't have a son in this life, but you will also have no descendants in the next life. Bitch, you dare to curse me to die without descendants? Fine, don't you have a beautiful young lady here? I'll bring her back today. When she gives birth to a son for me, I'll send her back to your Li family. After Bai Wenjie finished speaking, he walked to Wang Rubing with an obscene smile. If you dare to touch my daughter, I will fight with you. Li Shulan was about to rush to Bai Wenjie, but she was blocked by 3 gangsters. She rushed several times but failed. She was a middle-aged woman in her 50s. How could she be the opponent of 3 strong young men? Bastard. You bastard. Li Qingshan was so angry that his eyes were full of fire, but he was also pressed on the chair by a gangster and could not stand up at all. Little girl, it's useless to resist. Hurry up and go back with me to have a son. Bai Wenjie rushed to Wang Rubing with an obscene smile. When he was very proud, he suddenly felt the back of his neck was tight, and then his body suddenly flew out and hit the wall next to him. At this time the room was full of all kinds of fragments. Bai Wenjie rolled down the wall and immediately let out a scream like a pig. He was covered with glass fragments. Sister, are you all right? Qin Haodong said to Bai Rubing, who had been scared and pale. Bai Rubing looked at Qin Haodong, who suddenly appeared in front of her, and said incredulously, Are you little Dong? It's me. What? Don't you know me after just over a year? Little Dong, run. I'm a woman. They dare not do anything to me. Bai Rubing pushed Qin Haodong to the door desperately. In her opinion, her brother beat Bai Wenjie, and he would definitely retaliate. But after a few pushes, Qin Haodong did not move. She could not help but say anxiously, Why don't you run? Bai Wenjie will kill you later. At this time, Li Shulan also rushed over and said to Qin Haodong eagerly, Yes, little Dong, run quickly or it will be too late. In the face of their concerned eyes, Qin Haodong felt warm. He knew what would happen to the 2 women if he really ran away. Even so, they still wanted to protect him desperately. How could he not be moved? Sister Aunt, don't worry. They can't do anything to me. This child, why are you so stubborn? They are all hooligans, you should run quickly. Li Shulan and her daughter were so anxious that their tears almost fell down. You hit me and you still want to run? Dream on. At this time, Bai Wenjie had already climbed up from the ground. He wanted to wipe the blood on his face, but he suddenly pressed on the glass debris and screamed in pain again. This made him hate Qin Haodong even more. He shouted at his gangsters, What the hell are you standing for? Waiting to eat shit? Hurry up and destroy this guy. Beat him hard for me. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. After he gave the order, the gangsters immediately waved the steel pipes and knives in their hands and rushed to Qin Haodong. Don't mess around. Is there any law? Li Shulan, like an old hen, opened her arms in front of Qin Haodong, but was pulled behind by Qin Haodong. Leave this to me. Before Li Shulan could react, Qin Haodong had rushed to the gangsters. Li Shulan cried anxiously, "How can you beat those hooligans? Come back." Wang Rubing also shouted, "Little Dong, don't do stupid things." Bai Wenjie picked up the glass debris on his body and scolded, "You dare to beat me? You must be tired of living. Beat them hard." At this moment, an amazing scene happened. Those gangsters flew out as if they had been hit by a bomb. They fell to the ground in a miserable howl. In less than a minute, no one was standing. Qin Haodong was angry that these gangsters smashed his grandpa's shop. Naturally, he would not show mercy. These people had broken arms and legs. Even if they recovered later, they would be disabled. It was impossible for them to harm the society. Li Shulan and Wang Rubing shouted worriedly at first. Later, they opened their mouths directly and could not make any sound. They couldn't believe the scene in front of them. They didn't understand how Qin Haodong suddenly became so powerful. Beat them. Beat them hard for me. If they die, I'll take responsibility. Bai Wenjie only cared about picking up the glass debris on his body. When he heard the scream, he thought it was Qin Haodong, so he still shouted loudly. Suddenly, a joking voice sounded in his ear, "Who do you want to beat?" Bai Wenjie was shocked and suddenly raised his head. He saw that his men were lying on the ground, crying and howling, but the young man was standing in front of him intact. You. He looked at Qin Haodong in horror, but he couldn't even say a complete sentence. "What, can't you speak? It seems that your mouth is not very good. I have to help you," Qin Haodong said and slapped Bai Wenjie in the face with his backhand. He flew out directly and his body was full of glass debris again. "Little bastard, how dare you hit me?" Bai Wenjie didn't realize his situation at this time. He even scolded again. Unsurprisingly, he was slapped by Qin Haodong again. He got up from the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with his teeth. Now he was a little sober. The young man in front of him was definitely a ruthless character. "Boy, do you know who I am?" He wanted to say his name to frighten the young man, but he flew out again. Qin Haodong stepped in front of him and said in a cold voice, "How dare you act like a pretentious prick at this time? No matter who you are, I will gouge out your 3 eyes if you provoke my family, even if you are Prince Ma." "Little bastard, I am Bai Wenjie of Wufeng County. If you dare to hit me, you will go to prison for the rest of your life." Bai Wenjie was so angry that he cursed again. In response to him was a cracking sound. There was a heart-wrenching pain in his arm, which almost made him faint. Looking at his broken arm, Bai Wenjie's face was distorted. "Boy, are you crazy? My brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. How dare you hit me, Kacha?" Another crisp sound rang out and his other arm was broken again. This time Bai Wenjie was completely dumbfounded. The cruelty of the young man in front of him was far beyond his imagination. Not only his name Bai Wenjie was useless, but also his brother-in-law, the director of the Public Security Bureau. "Stay there obediently. If you dare to make even the slightest noise, I'll break both your legs." Bai Wenjie was completely frightened by Qin Haodong's cruel means. Although his arms were painful, he did not dare to make any sound. After Qin Haodong taught Bai Wenjie a lesson, he turned to Li Qingshan and said, "Grandpa, are you all right?" Li Qingshan said, "Little Dong, you are too impulsive. If you beat these people, the police will definitely arrest you. Run quickly. If anything happens, I will take care of it." "It's okay, Grandpa. I know." Qin Haodong said indifferently, "Grandpa, what the hell is going on? What are these people doing here? Why do they want to smash our store?" Bai Rubing had recovered from the shock at this time. She was more articulate and told the whole story from beginning to end. Bai Wenjie, the villain, has done too many bad things. He can't have a son, so he has to rob Grandpa of the secret of having a son. If Grandpa doesn't give it to him, he will smash our clinic. "Bastard, how dare he bully my family?" Qin Haodong scolded. He turned back to Bai Wenjie and said, "Who gave you the courage to smash my grandpa's store? Don't be angry, little brother. Don't be angry. I will pay for all the losses." Looking at the murderous Qin Haodong, Bai Wenjie was completely afraid. He was afraid that the young man would completely destroy him in a rage. Seeing that this guy was sensible, Qin Haodong finally restrained his murderous intent a little. He turned back to Bai Rubing and said, "Sister, you calculate how much our family has lost. Bai Rubing looked at the smashed things in the room and made a simple calculation. She said, they have smashed so many things that they can't open for a short time. The direct and indirect losses add up to about 30,000 yuan. Qin Haodong turned back to Bai Wenjie and said, did you hear that? We lost 3 million yuan. Don't think about getting out of here with less money. Bai Wenjie was stunned at once. The young man was so ruthless that he suddenly increased the price by 100 times. He quickly said, little brother, did you hear it wrong? I heard 30,000 yuan. How could I hear it wrong? It's 3 million yuan. Why don't you want to?